It don't matter the color of the skin, either woman or man. Just let the case land. It's here, it's in safe hands. This is God work, not a fake plan. Too many kids being found in these lakes, man. This is MTGV, and you with Miss V. She keep her ear to the street, like a drum to a beat. This is the place that you wanna be, but all trolls we delete. You better believe, just so you know.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to MTGB Crime Podcast. Please smack that thumbs up and drop down in the comments and let me know who's here.
Just so you know we don't go for those that's taking these souls. We know, but it's getting so out of control. Thank you for tuning in to MTGV, True Crime TV. Y'all know what it is, man. Team Vibe, Miss V. And make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe. And make sure you leave a comment, too. Yeah. We're going to see you on the flip side, man. Until then.
What's up, everybody? Shout out to everybody in the building. How's everybody doing on this good, what's the day? Wednesday. Happy Hump Day. Shout out to the 20 in the building. Y'all, please smack the thumbs up. Drop down in the comments and let me know who's here. Shout out to Summer 70. Welcome in. How you doing today? Shout out to Protected by God. Shout out to Phyllis for Life. Shout out to Ray Allen in the building. Shinetta. Angel Sar. Lynn's Life Lesson. Welcome in, y'all. So we just going to be talking about a variety of different cases that I've been looking at. And, what I want to show here today is that ain't nothing changed, y'all. I'm talking about from the Emmett Till. That was in 1955. That wasn't that long ago, right? I want to talk about the Lynch Act or law or whatever. It's an act, all right. You know what I'm saying? Can y'all tell me of any case that's ever been ruled a lynching? I mean, I would like to know. Because this lynching act law or bill or whatever it's called that they have is like, they've been avoiding this for like 200 years. You know what I'm saying? They have rejected this like over 200 times. And finally, they let it go through. And I do believe that Emmett Till's mother, passed away before this ever happened. And it's just absolutely disgusting because if you don't call it that, then it won't be ruled that, and they won't get the 30 years that you'll get if you lynch somebody. If they never say that that's what it is, how will we ever use the law? Shout out to everybody in the building. So I'm going to be going through, what that is. We gonna play a couple videos too, because they ruining them anything but, they're ruling them anything but that. Exactly. So how is this helping us or anybody? Because what needs to happen with these cases is the laws need to change. Ain't nothing gonna change unless the laws change. Number one of the things that I see that need to change is that they need to stop ruling these self-unaliving when a black man or whoever, I only hear a black man, probably some women on a tree. Look, what I've been looking at is that if you do that, then it cancels all investigation. And it's instantly ruled a self-unaliving. That need to change. When somebody is found that way, they need to investigate and do not automatically rule it as such, because that is, it's a whole lot of problems, but that's one that I can see from where I'm sitting. as long as they have that where automatically rules out all investigation and it's automatically a self-unaliving and wrapped up as such, I mean, come on, y'all. They know what it is. They know what it is. But they choose to keep doing this. Why did it take this long for them to finally go ahead with and agree with the Lynch Act or whatever? Let me play. We gonna start with Emmett Till because pretty much, I mean, that's who it started with, basically with this scenario. We gonna listen at his, I think it was his cousin that was there with him when it happened, and he's gonna tell the story. We gonna talk about the Lynch Act and all that crap. I call it crap because it ain't changing nothing. And it's frustrating that we're in 2024 still talking about stuff that happened in 1955 and beyond. It's like it's a whole joke. You see what I'm saying? It's like it's a whole joke. But we gonna play some of these videos.
President Joe Biden has signed the Emmett Till Anti-Lynching Act into law, making lynching a federal hate crime. The Emmett Till law imposes a prison sentence of up to 30 years on a person who commits a hate crime that results in death, serious injury, or that includes kidnapping, sexual abuse, or attempt to kill. Congress failed to pass the legislation more than 200 times before that bill finally moved forward this year. If Emmett Till were still alive, he'd be turning 81 this year.
Y'all heard that. Over 200 times they failed to do this, but they decided to do it now. Why? I mean, what's the whole gag with this? You know, because it's definitely a freaking joke. I mean, I want to know if any of them have ever been rude or lynching. I want to know, have any of them ever been rude anything but a self-unaliving? So because of those things, this is a joke to me. Like, what? It went by so fast. Let's listen at it again.
President Joe Biden has signed the Emmett Till Anti-Lynching Act into law, making lynching a federal hate crime. The Emmett Till law imposes a prison sentence of up to 30 years on a person who commits a hate crime that results in death, serious injury, or that includes kidnapping, sexual abuse, or attempt to kill. Congress failed.
And notice how kidnapping and SA is included with the lynching. You know, that's something that they did right along with the the lynching. Just sick. And it makes me think about Javion and why did they do a SA kit? You see what I'm saying? Like, what made them do that? It ain't protocol. But it is what happened to him. They're known to do this. And notice here that it's 3 men. With the Javion, it was three men or alleged men. And look at their faces.
To pass the legislation more than 200 times before that bill finally moved forward this year. If Emmett Till were still alive, he'd be turning 81 this year.
Lynchings took the lives of at least 6,500 Black people from the end of the Civil War, 1865, to 1950. After 200 plus failed attempts over the more than 100 years since the first anti-lynching bill was introduced, finally, lynching, or the public execution of someone without due process, has been made a hate crime. And not just the act of lynching itself, but participating in the planning of such an act is also now a hate crime. So how did we get here, and why did it take so long? The first anti-lynching bill was introduced in 1900 by the then lone Black member of Congress, but it never...
1900.
And lone Black member of Congress, but it never made it out of committee. That bill would have made lynching a federal crime. In 1918, after repeated attempts to introduce legislation, another anti-lynching bill gained some traction in the form of a hearing, but then it got stuck in committee again. In 1922,
let me know what y'all thinking about this as we're listening to this. I'm gonna try to stop stopping it so much. But see what I'm saying? It's just a freaking game that everybody plays. It's like they don't want to get rid of it. Shout out to Introvert Rockstar in the building. How you doing? Y'all go check him out, man. He's a trucker and he kind of switched over. He started with Javion. That's how I met him. And now he talks about history on his channel and also truckers and their plight. So check him out if y'all not familiar with him. I know a lot of people from his channel also watch me. So welcome in and salute to you. I love what you're doing over there as well. But man, this really upsets me, but I'm gonna try to let it play through.
Anti-lynching legislation passed the House, but over in the Senate, there was some, we can call it spirited opposition from southern states. And using a favorite blocking maneuver, the filibuster, the bill failed. The bill's sponsor reintroduced the legislation in every Congress in the 1920s, but it didn't go anywhere. No vote, no hearing, nothing.
Hey, that's the same sign I've been showing y'all. They was so proud of that. I mean, and it really trips me out. Like, look at the American flag under it. This one was way higher. I mean, the hate is real. And I don't even know if I don't know why we're so hated. I really don't. But it's pure, I can tell that it's pure jealousy and stuff too. But I don't know why. I really don't. Can somebody help me with that?
No hearing, nothing. In the mid-1930s, Congress tried again, but then President Franklin D. Roosevelt's bill failed. The bill's sponsor reintroduced the legislation in every Congress in the 1920s, but it didn't go anywhere. No vote, no hearing, nothing. In the mid-1930s, Congress tried again, but then President Franklin D. Roosevelt didn't want political fallout from his southern white voters. In total, nearly 200 anti-lynching bills were introduced under 8 different presidents between 1900 and...
He didn't want to fall out from his southern white voters. See, this keeps happening, y'all, because they want it to. You see what I mean? When you don't want something to happen, you put a law in place to protect the people. They want it to keep happening.
In 1947. During that time, thousands of...
I'll say allegedly.
People, mostly Black, were lynched, with the actual number still unknown, as these acts, which were commonplace acts...
I can tell you that number is way higher than they're admitting to. Get out of here. It's more than you can count. And it's still happening today.
...of terror, both before and after the Civil War, often went unrecorded. Throughout the 1950s, as the civil rights movement ramped up, there were a handful of proposed bills, but no action in Congress. Even after the murder of 14-year-old Emmett Till.
14.
He was lynched in 1955 after being accused of flirting with a white woman, and still, despite the heinous nature of his murder, Congress did not act.
14. And this woman lived a great life. Well, she just died at 88 or something like that. I mean... Then they have found something about an arrest warrant or something. They found they had never even tried to look for her or do anything with her. The guys that did it, they passed a while ago. Now, but she lived, for a long time doing this to a 14-year-old. Like in 1955. Like what? That was just the other day. Like that wasn't long enough. But anyway, it just keeps happening.
Between 1965 and 20...
And the arguments continue. Look at that. Just disgusting. Cowards. Show your face. Like, what?
18, nothing was proposed to stop lynching. But in 1968, hate crimes, crimes based on someone's race, skin color, religion, became outlawed. And in 2005, the Senate did pass a resolution.
So with this happening so much in the history of it, wouldn't you think that Black people would have had the hate crime bill a long time ago? I mean, they didn't seem to have a problem giving it to, the Chinese. I think that was the first one that I had heard of. And I was shocked because I didn't know where all the hate was coming from. I mean, I remember, a couple people was complaining about being attacked at their beauty salons, beauty stores and nail shops and stuff like that. But I didn't hear it the opposite. But somehow that became law.
Resolution expressing remorse for not acting, but still not acting. Finally, in 2018, the Senate took a vote on an anti-lynching bill, this time to make it a federal hate crime, and it passed unanimously. But the House never voted on the measure. Rinse and repeat in 2019 and reverse that in 2020. A version of the bill passed the House but was blocked in the Senate. Now in 2022, 120.
See what I'm saying? People be thinking when you first hear about this stuff, oh, they're really doing it. Just be politics and bullshit. I'm gonna just say that because I'm just let me let it play. Whew.
2 years after the first introduction of an anti-lynching bill, it's officially a federal hate crime.
Are we sure? I bet you don't nobody get arrested for it because they never rule it as such. That's what makes it a joke.
With the stroke of a pen, President Biden signed into law a bill making lynching a federal hate crime.
The law is not just about the past. It's about the present and our future as well.
The legislation was named after 14-year-old Emmett Till, who was kidnapped, tortured, and killed in Mississippi in 1955 after being accused of whistling at a white woman. The case was a catalyst for the civil rights movement, but an all-white jury ultimately acquitted the two white men accused of Till's murder.
The victims of lynching and their families and all of our society deserve that we recognize the crimes and the injustice.
More than 200 similar bills to outlaw lynching have previously failed in Congress. Under the new act, those who carry out hate crimes could face up to 30 years in prison.
I am elated.
Democratic Congressman Bobby Rush of Illinois, who sponsored the Emmett Till anti-lynching bill, says it's needed now more than ever.
After 100 years, over 200 attempts, we're finally making lynching a criminal act.
Earlier this year, the three white men convicted of murdering Ahmaud Arbery were found guilty of federal hate crimes. They received life sentences at the state level for targeting the 25-year-old jogger. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
And about that, it's just a freaking joke, y'all. I mean, it was a variety of things that I wanted to talk about here. And even touching on like the autopsy and stuff like that of Javion. I don't know if y'all know, they found a skull from back in the 1800s, and they was able to find out exactly who that person was, okay? I mean, come on. The bull crap they told them about the autopsy and all of that is ridiculous to me. Shout out to BFF in the building. Ugh, I can't stand them men right there, man. I mean, just look at their faces. Shout out to everybody in the building. I'm gonna open up the lines too. I want to see what y'all got to say, but I'm gonna keep going so far. She suffered greatly to this ungodly lying on Emmett. How did she suffer? I really don't know nothing much about her. I don't think she suffered. I think she lived. That's why it is important to vote. We need to try to get these laws changed. Start looking there. I mean, because they'll take you through the loops and hoops and all of that, but ultimately it's the laws that need to change for real change to happen. And like I said, they need to stop automatically saying that it's self-unaliving when they on a tree, because they know long as they do that, it ain't gonna be no investigation and they're not gonna do anything. So these people continue to snuff people out, black people out, specifically men, one by one, when they catch them by themselves. That's an easy lick, ain't it?
Thank you all for coming this morning. My name is Rob Russell, and I am the coroner in Kane County.
Now, I ain't ready to go there yet, but that's the story. That's what I was talking about, where they found this skull from the 1800s and found out exactly who she was. So they can't tell me nothing about an autopsy and not being able to have a second funeral and all that. It's just ridiculous, the things that I heard here. Oh, shoot. Hold on, I gotta switch it up. Give me a second, y'all. Please subscribe and press that notification bell and thumbs up.
can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 yo, go, go, go. Hustle hard, hustle every single day. I'll be making moves till I'm buried in my grave.
We are here today to bring closure to an incident that originated in 1978.
And in the driveway is a nice range, 'cause I grind through the climb, I invite pain. You'll never hear me, bitch, nah, I don't complain. Just gotta flip the switch and you can go and obtain anything you want, anything you need. Your mind's got the key ingredient, it's belief. They'll deceive with the negativity, but I just slide right by that energy. Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go.
Now to another critical social issue in the US, racial justice. We're going to look back at a case which helped. Parker is a pastor, district superintendent, and a public speaker, and he now joins Michelle Martin.
Thanks, Christian. Reverend Wheeler Parker Jr., thank you so much for talking with us today.
My pleasure.
Please smack that thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you have not. Drop down in the comments and let me know what you think about what we're talking about right now. Shout out to everybody in the building.
Finally explore everything that you thought you could never do before. And even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go.
Shout out to all my moderators and members in the building. Shout out to all my new subscribers and old ones. Shout out to the winning team. Welcome to the winning team. Buckle up, baby.
6.
Let's go.
I never ran straight to no, man, I still go. Atlanta is 2 miles in altitude. On the shuttle that breaks through the sound barrier.
Welcome to the winning team. Buckle up, baby.
6.
Let's go.
I never ran straight to no, man, I still go. Atlanta is 2 miles in altitude.
Buckle up, baby. We back. Shout out to all of y'all. Okay, so this is Emmett Till's family here, and he gonna tell us a story.
And I'm mindful that although you're being nice to us, it really isn't your pleasure, that you've lived with this very terrible story for so many years. And I can only imagine that every time you talk about it, it probably cost you something, doesn't it?
It does. It's but that's the price I guess you pay to keep it out there and give him the respect and honor that he needs.
So tell me about your cousin, Emmett Till. And I see that there's a picture of you and him behind you. You've said many times that he was not just your cousin; he was your best friend. Tell me a little bit about him. What was he like?
Fun. Never had a dull day in his life. Exciting. Always something going on. If you were around him, you knew that he stuttered, but yet still he was a center of attraction all the time.
Fun-loving kid, nice personality, nice smile.
Nice smile. Yeah, he had a beautiful smile.
You all were living in Chicago. Emmett and you and other family members, like so many other African Americans, had moved up from the South to the North and the Midwest, and to some degree the West, in search of more, opportunity. So why did you and your cousin happen to be back in Mississippi that summer?
I had been in Chicago/Argo, Illinois, since January of 1947, and this is in the August of 1955. My grandfather had come to Chicago for a funeral, and Emmett learned that I was going back with him, and he would not have it any other way because he didn't have any sisters or brothers, so his mother would take me along, so we were like inseparable. And he insisted that he go back south with me, and they didn't think it was a good idea, but he insisted.
And why did they think it was a good idea?
Because if you didn't live in the South or experience it, you had no idea what it was like for a black male. And what they thought could happen is exactly what happened.
You mean the sense of having everything about your life controlled by the need to defer to white people? I think that's what you're referring to?
You're putting it lightly, but yes. And they made sure that existed. A lot of people lost their life, and we were constantly reminded that you were inferior, and there was a period constantly reminding. They would leave bodies lying here or there, or leave them hanging for a while, so that you get the message. And the message was well entrenched in our way of life.
Y'all see that? It's all about sending a message too. You know what I'm saying? But it's still cowardly as hell. I mean, it used to be a whole event at some point. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is ridiculous. I mean, but he's gonna tell us the story of what happened and how it happened and all of that. And I found this, interesting, because some of the things still sound familiar, especially being from the South and how scary they are in the South. They aware of it. I mean, and it's like people just don't talk about it. They dance around it and all that. But it happened every day, y'all. And I'm talking about everybody is on code with it to where it don't get out. And it's all on purpose. Disgusting.
Still, we sent droves of children to the South every year. From the North they went, but they were so trained and so well and entrenched in the ways of the South that we enjoyed ourselves immensely when we went down there.
You and your cousin were picking cotton during the day, is that right?
It was cotton picking time, and in the South, if you wandered around a town and it was cotton picking time, you're going to end up in prison, and you're going to stay there until cotton picking time is over.
And you know
everybody went to...
Back in the day, my grandmother used to use that word all the time. But I didn't relate it to that. And she would say something like, "You out of your cotton picking mind." And it's like, I've never related it to that until some years ago. But I'm like, what? Anyway, have y'all ever heard y'all grandparents say anything like that?
To the field. Everybody went to the cotton field.
So you would go and pick for half a day, and then what would you do? Go have fun?
Well, actually, we picked all day.
My grandmother is 92, by the way. Just turned it.
Really. The thing was from sun to sun. We just took off early that day to go have some refreshments at the little country store 3 miles down the gravel road.
So I was going to ask you that. So how did you and Emmett, your cousin Emmett, whom you call Bobo, how did you wind up at the store that day?
Usually when you went south, and this was a norm, you were in the hands of an adult. And if you went to town or somewhere, there was an adult always to kind of correct you. But my grandfather was 67 years old. He had a son named Maurice. He was 16, and he had a car. And so we were kind of on our own, which is a mistake. We just got there on a Sunday. And here it is Wednesday, we're going to this little country store. And of course, that's where everything got started.
I cannot help but think that, we're asking you to remember the beginning of the worst day of your life. Yes. But if you would, just as briefly as you can, what happened?
Shout out to my mom.
We got to the store and everyone's gathered around and laughing and talking. They're playing checkers and telling jokes. And Emmett loved jokes. He paid people to tell them jokes. And so at the store, I decided to go in and purchase some things. But while I was in the store, I remember Emmett coming in, and my formative years were spent in the South. I spent 7 to 8 years. So I was well entrenched in the ways of the South. You were taught that from the day you could understand how to stay alive as a black boy in Mississippi. So I saw him come in. I said, man, I remember my heart, boom. I said, I hope he got it together, that they got his language together, the yes sirs and the no sirs and the politeness that they demanded. Wow. So I said, I hope he got it together. So I left him in the store. And of course, shortly thereafter, my Uncle Simeon came in, who was 12 and was 14. I was 16. He came in with him. Nothing happened while I was in the store. They came out. Nothing happened at all.
And then when did you realize that something was going on?
Well, shortly after I left out and they came out, and then Mrs. Bryant came out, and coming out of the store, she turns to her left. And as Emmett was, he loved to make people laugh. He gave the wolf whistle. There's so many different stories told about that and where it happened and all that. But he whistled at her. He did whistle at her. And when he did that, we just could not believe in Mississippi in 1955 that he whistled at this white lady where people have been killed for reckless eyeball that is looking at her. And no one said, let's go. My Uncle 16 driving the car. Everyone made a beeline for the car. And we took off down this gravel road.
You knew right then that there was going to be trouble. So what did you do then?
Well, we got in the car, and now Emmett is excited. He's scared now because we showing these emotions. So my uncle sped down the road, and dust is flying everywhere, and there's a car behind us. So someone's like, they're after us, and we knew rightly so they could be after us, so what he had done. So we pulled to the side, jumps out of the car, run through the cotton field, and the car goes right on by. And we would group at the edge of the road, and Emmett asked us not to tell my grandfather. So it's Wednesday. We didn't tell my grandfather. Thursday passed, Friday passed, Saturday passed, and we kind of forgot about it. We forgot about it. Otherwise, we should have probably been on the train heading back north. But then they would come to the house sometimes, and someone would have to pay.
So when someone finally did come to the house, what happened then?
It was Sunday morning. We had gone to town just prior to that to Greenwood. We got home, I guess, about 12 o'clock. Not thinking anything. We went to bed. It's 4 big bedrooms. I'm in the bed with my Uncle Maurice. And then about 2:30 in the morning, I hear these people talking. And they're talking about what happened at the store. Being raised with very strong faith, first thing I said, when death is imminent, I said, God, we're getting ready to die. These people are going to kill us. I've heard the stories, and I know what he did in their eyes once. Killed. And I'm shaking like a leaf on a tree. And the thing that I remember most is that not only am I getting ready to die, I'm 16 years old, my relationship with God is not right. And when death is imminent, for some reason, you think about all the bad things that you ever done. So I'm praying to God, not aloud. And I'm saying, God, if you just let me live, I need to get right with you. If you just let me live, I'm going to take care of that. I'm going to get that together. And literally shaking and in work these guys, it's dark at 1,000 midnight. You can't see your hand before your face and no lights on in the house. And they enter in with a flashlight in one hand and a pistol in the other. And I closed my eyes to be shot. And I opened my eyes, they were passing by, and they went to the next room. Emmett wasn't there. Then went to the third room. They found Emmett in bed with my Uncle Simeon. And it was just pure hell in that house. It just unbelievable, the tension and the helplessness. I think that's what resonates so strongly. In a case like that, how helpless you are. You can't call your grandfather because he's in trouble too. So you just, being people of faith, we just start praying, and they left with him, and that's the last time we saw him alive.
Oh my God. There's just so many things going through my head right now. But
for this to be allowed at any time in life, but this is savagery. And for them to not want to talk about it now, I mean, this ain't nothing changed. Ain't nothing changed. Just maybe not so out with it because it's not okay. So they dance around it, but it's a hidden secret that everybody know is still okay. You know, because it ain't no laws against it. And even the law that they just got, they gonna dance around that too, because since when have they ever ruled any of them? They continue to happen. Javion, for instance, Jelani Day, for instance, Jelani wasn't on a tree, but that was definitely, they took him out and they took his organs, and I don't care what nobody say, and everybody helped cover it up. Let me let this finish playing. I mean, but just to know, y'all, this is a real dog fight, because it's something that they know about, but they refuse to do anything about it, and they dance around it with the laws and the rules, and then they still wiggle their way out, like with Ahmaud Arbery now. I mean, Ahmaud Arbery with the McMichaels. Why are they trying to get out right now? Why are they trying to get a retrial right now? The one under the fact that the one black juror that they did have said something about he felt like he was there for he had to stand up for the whole black race. He prayed to God and all this stuff, and they trying to use that against him to try to get these people out. And then the woman, the district attorney that refused to take this to court, she was supposed to be, she's supposed to see her day in court. And it's been, 3 years? They ain't did nothing to her and these people trying to get out. So it's just like, I mean, it's really no real protection. It's really no real law. It seems like everything is operating the way they want it to. Because I feel like the DA should be locked up. She's the one that failed everybody first. I mean, well, they did it, but then she did everything and she did to keep it. Oh, he don't need to be arrested. Oh, this don't need to go to court and all of that stuff. And look how long it took for them to actually do anything, and they really didn't. And they got the nerve to be trying to get out already. And it ain't even wrapped all the way up yet, as far as I'm concerned.
Grandfather, the humiliation, of not being able to protect his grandson from people in his own house.
Yeah, it's the lowest of low.
Mm-hmm. When did you realize, or when did you find out what had happened to Emmett?
They started looking right away near the rivers and the bridges, and but they had said that if he wasn't the one, they're gonna bring him back. And I left, of course, and I found out, I believe it was on Wednesday when they found his body. By this time, I was back in Chicago.
They had spirited you out of town, basically, for your own safety, right?
For sure.
If he's not the one, they'll bring him back. Like, they just allowed to do all of this savage stuff, and it continues. Ain't nothing changed. It's just more hidden. I'm going to just keep saying that. Because anytime we talking about Javion Magee in 2024, and we're hearing similarities with all of these cases of not wanting the officials not wanting to do a full investigation, not looking into things as they should, closing a blind eye simply because this person was placed at a tree with a rope and all of that. This is a whole lick that they all know about. Oh, we could just do this and they gonna throw it out because they not gonna ever want to admit this. He did it to himself. It's over with. Despite all the cameras and all the witnesses and all the shouldn't nobody get away with nothing nowadays, y'all. It's cameras everywhere. They're even installing them on people's houses, catching people. You got them at the lights. You got them on houses, businesses. I mean, how is anybody getting away? Satellite. I think only people to get away is the ones they want to get away. Like, come on. And then, I mean, as far as the cops, they have body cam footage for that reason of transparency. They have dash cam footage for that reason. Yet they can turn it off whenever they want. I feel like any cop that does that, they need to change that and make it law that if you turn it off for whatever reason during your duties, you automatically damn fired, because we know that they do it and they hide stuff and they get rid of it and all kind of stuff that's happening. That's why I'm like, it's just politics and bullshit, because they have you thinking that they've corrected things, but really the law they create, they find some other way to get over that law, get past that law. It's a joke when it comes down to protecting Black people. They don't want to. They don't want to. Why is that? Wow. It's something when you look up and you just realize that you are the most hated person in the world. It's really sad.
Right away.
Did you hear what had happened to Emmett? I mean, did you know at the time they found his body, as you said, days later, but the fact that he'd been tortured, the fact that his body was destroyed, did you know that then?
No, we did not. We didn't know the condition of the body. We didn't know. All we know that they had found him. Of course, they got him back here to have his funeral here.
So now many people know some of the outlines of the story from there, that the courage of his mother, Mamie Till Mobley, to have an open casket funeral because she wanted the world to
and continue. Javion was laid to rest on October 5th. It continues, and nobody pays for it.
See what had been done to her son. And many people know that, two men were eventually tried in connection with Emmett's torture. And
just look at the privilege and entitlement on their face. Look at their body language. One of them got a cigarette in his hand. Two of them got a cigarette. I mean, they don't give a damn. Yeah, I did it, and what? Look at them. These looks that don't change either. They feel like they are above the law because I guess they are. This is what we dealing with in America. Awesome. Don't nothing change but the outfits.
Murder, but that they were acquitted by an all-white jury.
Look at that. Savages. I mean, at nothing but. And this woman here. Disgust. I mean, I'm disgusted. I guess this is the American dream they talk about.
Just like in a matter of, I don't know, what was it? Just actual like
57 minutes.
Yeah, minutes. I mean, if you're being
Savages.
honest, did you believe that justice would ever take place? That someone would be held accountable for what they did?
No, but this incident brought about changes.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is probably the first time, not the first time, one of the few times that a white man had been charged with doing something to a black. Matter of fact, when they went to
See, the fact that they even got a charge was a good thing. You know what I'm saying? Because normally it wouldn't have even landed in court. But see how they get your hopes up just for nothing. Like, I don't know what made them do it this time. Oh, we gonna give them this, but ain't nothing gonna happen. I mean, this is the same thing with the trials. I mean, look what happened with Breonna Taylor. How those cops lied to get a no-knock warrant, and they still trying to figure out a way to charge Kenny. Breonna's gone for what? They lied, and they still are being vindicated here. I'm just, man, it's disgusting. It really is.
arrest these guys, they told them that's BS. I'm trying to protect the Southern way of life, and you're going to arrest me? They were highly insulted.
BS. They trying to protect the Southern way of life. I guess that's what they still doing. What y'all think? They still protecting the Southern way of life in North Carolina.
Because in time past, nothing would have been done at all. They've been rewarded or at least thanked for what they were doing, helped keeping the system in place. The system was very, very strong, and it's still strong. What they protected then, they're protected now. Even still today, I see it in the young man that was choked to death up there in Minnesota. You see it there. I see it all the time. First thing I think about is Emmett Till. That system still prevails.
Yeah, it does.
So again, let's sort of fast forward a bit. The two men who were responsible for torturing.
What was we looking at with the George Floyd? He wasn't on a tree, but he definitely was being lynched. And they tried to tell us what we was looking at, and we all seen it. That was a big fight when we seen what was happening. It's crazy.
Emmett, for kidnapping Emmett and torturing him. They had been acquitted at trial, but later on in an interview with what was then, a very prominent, magazine, they admitted, what they had done. What was that like for your family? I mean, did it feel at least there was an acknowledgement, or just did it make it even worse that there was no accountability?
Well, living in a situation in an environment, you were not surprised. Like I said, this is the first time. So we're making progress. We got a trial. That's unheard of. And we didn't expect anything to come out. Well, you say, maybe it's a problem.
One of the things too that blow me away is when people say something like using a race card. Like, what? Or they try to convince you that it's not racist in the world. Like, just stop. Seriously. If you got friends like that, get them away from you. And even people that say they don't see color, you should, because the world does. So, I mean, it is a big problem that never went away. And it resurfaces every time something like this happens, but it is happening so much. And we got Taylor talking about it now, and also introvert rock stars. So if y'all not connected to both of them, check them out, because we are bringing all of this stuff to light. because it needs to be. Like, it never went away, y'all. And I guess I could say it slowed down, but it still happens. I mean, some of them is real bold. Like, it's getting more bold, and gangs are being formed all over the world against us. For what? I don't know. I really don't know. I don't get it.
Responsibility. Maybe something will be done. You're thinking that, man, they arrested these guys. They had trial. And of course, they admitted.
That's still the same hope that we have today. Like, this is ridiculous.
That they did it after the trial. We're not surprised by that. And they were awarded. They were paid money, I understand, for their story.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, the story was just so.
They was paid money on the stand for their story.
It resonates with me now. It was so erroneous and so degrading that it bothers me even to this day, the way that they portrayed Emmett to justify what they did to him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and again,
and
see, fast forward even.
It's no different. The way that they're portraying Jelani and Javion to hide what they did. Because anytime, speaking of Jelani, his mother, they were told that there was no footage at the YMCA, right? The night that his car was found there. They told the law enforcement or whoever, somebody told her, I don't know which one, that there was no footage there. She goes to the Y and they tell her, yeah, we got footage, and they gave it to her. She gave it to them without making a copy of it or anything, and they lost it on purpose. It still happens. That was in 2021. Javion, they put wraps and rope and all of the stuff that they're trying to make him the person that took his own self out when they know damn well they did it to him. Ain't nothing changed.
And further, in 2017, an historian revealed that in interviews with Carolyn Bryant, who was the young woman who accused Emmett.
Y'all, please smack the thumbs up. It's 52 in here with 29 thumbs up. Can we get 52 thumbs up? Shout out to everybody listening. Really, Playgirl? Like a 14-year-old. Disgusting. That's what I'm saying when they talk about like TNR's wife being nice and all of that stuff. Like, these wives be on the same damn thing them husbands be on, because if they know what their husband's up to and they with it. They might be sorry for guilt, but it only lasts for a while you in their face. If it even lasts the whole time.
He revealed that Carolyn Bryant had lied and had acknowledged lying about,
allegedly,
her encounter with Emmett Till at the store. At trial, she had this whole elaborate story about how he had allegedly attacked her and had said several things to her, which you knew could not be the case, because, as you said, he had a very pronounced stutter. Did it make you feel at least a sense that the world knew what you knew, which is that she had lied?
You know, one thing that blew me away is that they said that he had an intense stutter, which means he stuttered every time he spoke. And she never mentioned that he stuttered, because he ain't say none of that stuff. But I guess they saying he whistled at her. I don't know. I mean, but he did say that, but he didn't say nothing to her, because she ain't say nothing about that. He wasn't even in there that long.
We were not privy to that story you just told until they found the transcript about 50 years later. We had never heard anything like that.
50 years later. Now, y'all heard Javion's parents saying what they didn't hear and what they didn't know until they went. Like, they was talking about how they had talked to this deputy bishop guy, about whoever they was talking to, about 4 or 5 times, never mentioning the homeless guy with the money and all of that until they came to sit down and talk to him. First time ever hearing about it. that's made up. Like nothing has changed. They wasn't privy to certain information of 50 years later. Like, what? And there's no statute of limitation on unaliving somebody either, or being a part of it. So I feel like she should have spent the rest of her days behind bars. She should have died in prison. But that wasn't gonna happen.
Like that before.
Not even in 2024.
We were privy to her memoirs, and she don't remember him stuttering. That was his way of life. He didn't talk without stuttering. So the lie that she told still prevails, and you got to justify what
the lie that she told still prevails. I don't believe nothing they say. These type of people.
To Emmett. So they use those kind of things to justify what they did to him.
You've just written a book called A Few Days Full of Trouble, Revelations on the Journey to Justice for My Cousin and Best Friend, Emmett Till. You co-wrote.
I would like to get this book. I hope it's in an audio version, because I would like to know the real story instead, because y'all already know news don't always get it right. It get twisted. I mean, and before, let's just imagine what the newspapers used to be like back in the day when all of the stuff was good. So we already know. I would love to get that book and find out the real story behind everything.
Wrote it with a longtime friend and co-author Christopher Benson, who's also a lawyer. Why was it important to you to write this book now? Why this book and why now?
I was very reluctant to write a book because so many stories have been told. And for 30 years, they never interviewed me. And so I've been hurt with the stories that have been told, what happened at the store. And I knew it wasn't the truth. I felt that we were at such a disadvantage competing with the major magazines and the articles that had been written. So I was just reluctant to write it. And then I decided, well, they convinced me that somebody will believe your story. So here I am now, hoping someone will believe, because I was an eyewitness. Many stories have been told. Many things have been said, but we were eyewitness, Simi and I.
Before we let you go, how do you feel now that you got your story out, now that you've been able to tell your truth? How does it feel?
It feels good because I go speaking and people hear me and they believe it, so I don't feel as helpless as I did from the beginning, because I do have a avenue to tell stories, like through your system and other systems. So I feel good that I'm able to help share the light and get the story to the schools. So I feel better about it now. But I'm still at the end thinking about how he died and the price that he paid.
Reverend Wheeler Parker Jr., thank you so much for talking with us today.
My pleasure, and look forward to meeting you.
Need all that music going up out of here. But yeah, so it's sad, y'all. Nothing has changed. Nothing. So let's see, where do I want to go now? This is crazy. I guess I'll go to the Ahmaud Arbery thing with these guys trying to get a new trial. Like, do anybody want to call in before I even change the subject? My number is, hold on. If y'all want to call in and comment in on that, what we just listened to, that would be fine. But still, in the meantime, I'm going to still be looking for the next videos, because with this Ahmaud Arbery thing, this is going on right now. They are trying to get a new trial and all of that. Like, get the hell out of here. Where can I see the Arbery motion? Now, I'm definitely not about to play that whole thing. Man, that was so long and dry and drawn out. It was like 7 hours. I listened to a little bit of it. But yeah, we'll go to that. Thank you, BFF. We will go to those people. I think I got it put up, though. I'll probably go through it.
Three Georgia men convicted of chasing down and killing Ahmaud Arbery in 2020 are back in court today asking a judge for a new trial. Attorneys for Greg McMichael, his son Travis McMichael, and their former neighbor, William Bryan, are making a range of accusations, including that the jury was tainted, that their counsel was ineffective for one of the men, that McMichaels armed themselves and then chased Arbery down in a pickup truck after they saw him jogging past their house in February 2020. Bryan then joined in that pursuit in his own truck and then recorded cell phone video of Arbery getting killed by shotgun blasts at close range. ABC News legal contributor Brian Buckmeyer joins me now for more on this. Brian, walk us through these arguments. Why are these men arguing that they deserve a new trial?
Well, Dan, you listened to the arguments already. One, they were saying that the jury was tainted. One of the defense attorneys for one of the McMichaels said that after interviewing at least three of the jurors, there's information, they haven't revealed what it is as yet, that makes them believe that there was extraneous or external information that these jurors heard that might have biased their decision. They also have ineffective assistance of counsel, but that's specific to William Bryan, where they're saying that the previous attorney, the trial attorney, made the incorrect assessment of telling Bryan to go speak to law enforcement and that some of his words were incriminating. The last one is what we call judicial error. What they're saying is that the judge made the mistake of not allowing the defense attorneys to argue Ahmaud Arbery's previous criminal history, namely that he was arrested twice and his mental health, to suggest that the men were fearful of their life and therefore should have been able to use self-defense as an argument.
Brian, how common is it for a judge to grant a new trial based on the circumstances in this case and the arguments that the defendants are making?
So these arguments, tainted jury, judicial error, ineffective assistance of counsel, are probably the more common arguments that one makes to reverse a case. And I think it's very often that if a case is reversed, it's probably one of these three, especially judicial error. However, there's some weaknesses to some of the arguments that the defense attorneys are making. Namely, for example, that judicial error not having Ahmaud Arbery's background being used. Well, the men who were convicted of the crime, they didn't know about Ahmaud Arbery's background, the arrest or his mental health. So how are they able to say that they were fearful of this information that they didn't have? So I don't see that being a very strong argument. Even the ineffective assistance of counsel. While I agree, Bryan should never.
Do you see how these people try to use the person that they took out, his criminal background or his background that they had they know nothing about this man. But now they want to say that they want to use that, his background, to try to incriminate him. They were in fear, but they didn't even know about it. Like, boy, I tell you.
Never spoken to law enforcement. I tell it to all my clients, plead the fifth, ask for an attorney. There was so much other information that they could have convicted Bryan on that I don't think that's going to be the winning argument, especially when ineffective assistance of counsel. You have to prove that what the attorney did wrong was the basis for why the case went the wrong way.
So what happens next in these proceedings?
So the judge is allotted for 2 days for both sides to make their arguments. They're going to argue much of what I just said now, why information should have come in, why it should not have come in, why the judge made a mistake, why the information the jury had may or may not have tainted the ultimate result in this case. And then the judge will take the information in some weeks or months. I know that we kind of have the holidays coming up. Judges typically take their time around this time of year, but they'll ultimately get a decision as to whether or not there should be a new trial. If there is, there would be a new case. If not, then these three men will stay behind bars for the rest of their sentence.
All right, ABC News legal contributor Brian Buckmeyer. Thanks, Brian.
I don't even know why they entertaining this. They just got in jail. Like, a new trial for what? Nothing. Like a waste of time.
Went over the court's duty to investigate. And that only arises when the party alleging misconduct makes an adequate showing of extrinsic influence to overcome the presumption of jury impartiality. A specific non-speculative impropriety has occurred, which could have prejudiced the trial of the defendants. That is what they're required to show. Non-speculative impropriety. A hearing is not held to afford a convicted defendant the opportunity to conduct a fishing expedition. That is right from the United States Supreme Court in the 1983 decision.
A bit of an overstatement to say all 12 of them or 9 of them refused to talk to us. A few did.
9 refused, 3 agreed and spoke with Mr. Wilson. The state's, of course, first concern with that is that in approaching these 3 jurors, Mr. Wilson lied to them. He said he was there to interview them to find out what the trial teams had done wrong or could do better in the future. He also told them that it was a confidential interview.
We're not attempting to impeach the verdict. The second part of the rule provides a juror may testify on the question of whether extraneous prejudicial information was improperly brought to the juror's attention. The transcripts have not been authenticated beyond this affidavit. And as Ms. Donikowski has correctly noted, that this is hearsay. But it has not correctly. She has said it's hearsay, and it would be hearsay if we were submitting it under Rule 801 to prove that these jurors told us the truth. When I found out I was the only black I was like, oh my God. Now I'm laying in bed, can't sleep anymore because I felt like the weight of the whole black race was on my shoulder.
Okay, and so it just ended like that? Hold on, y'all.
In Glenn County, the 3 men who murdered Ahmaud Arbery now want a new trial. Attorneys for Gregory and Travis McMichael.
They can want a new trial all they want. I mean, these people got charged with a hate crime and everything. Like, get over it. Like, so they using, so what they just ended it with, and hopefully y'all can hear me good because I see that my signal is down for whatever reason. Let me know if y'all can hear me okay though. But so basically this says that Travis McMichael's attorney, Pete Donaldson, told the judge Thursday he plans to present testimony showing one of the jurors concealed his bias in favor of Arbery. Well, I mean, everybody else was in favor of the McMichaels because he was the only black juror up there. I don't even know how that happened, but somehow they want to incriminate the only black juror that was up there by saying all of this stuff. So Thursday he plans to present testimony showing one of the trial jurors concealed his bias in favor of Arbery's family when he was questioned by the judge and attorney during the jury selection. Donaldson said the man identified in court only as juror number 30 was interviewed by a private investigator working for the defense team back in 2022. He said the juror said he prayed after the final jury was selected and he was the only black member of the panel. I felt like the weight of the whole black race was on my shoulders. Donaldson quoted the juror as saying that. So Walmsley said he would allow the juror to testify with limitations. The juror said the man would be prohibited from discussing any jury deliberation, which was shielded as private by law. So no arrests were made in Arbery unaliving for more than 2 months. See, now let's remember this though, this part. So no arrest was made in the Arbery unaliving for more than 2 months. And it wasn't until Brian's cell phone video leaked online and the Georgia Bureau of Investigations, how we hear Brames talking about SBI. Let's see. Well, that's GBI, I guess. SBI, GBI, FBI. So until the video leaked online and Georgia Bureau of Investigations took over the case from police. So that's what we need to do. But I guess in Javion case, it would be the SBI, but I don't know. So GBI took over the case from the police. Arbery's death became part of the border reckoning of racial injustice in the criminal legal system, along with the police unaliving of George Floyd in Minneapolis and Breonna Taylor in Louisiana. Okay, so we know this is just sad, man, but let's go.
And William Bryan say some of the jurors in the murder trial may have been tainted. So here's a look back now at how we got to this point. Arbery was shot and killed while running in the Satilla Shores neighborhood in February 2020. But no arrest came until months later when cell phone video of the shooting surfaced. The 3 men were found guilty of murder in November 2021. They were sentenced to life in prison. Our Christina Burgess is on your side, giving us a recap of everything that happened in court today in Brunswick.
Yeah, inside of the courtroom, we heard from William Bryan's 2021 attorney. We also heard from a private investigator who interviewed jurors after the trial, and we also heard from a juror from that 2021 murder trial.
I just thought it was over with because all the evidence they had for them killing my son for nothing just because he was a black man, I thought this stuff would be over with.
Okay.
You know, just
in the Glenn County courthouse,
when I
Marcus
seen
Arbery
that,
feels
man,
like he's reliving the 2021 trial for his.
Y'all hear the man. all the evidence they had for unaliving his son, and we still here. Like, y'all, they trying to get retried over a juror. Like, okay, let's forget about all the evidence of what y'all did. Like, get out of here. This is ridiculous. This family should not have to go through this again. I mean, so I don't know what the end result was, but I'm gonna just say they gonna remain in there for the rest of their days. Like, Ahmaud don't get a chance to jog or run or do anything. All he was doing was running past their house, and they decided to do what they did. He ain't have nothing in his hand, no weapon, no nothing. But they want a fair trial.
This stuff will be over with. But just
In the Glenn County Courthouse, Marcus
over with because
from a juror from that 2021 murder trial.
I just thought it was over with because all the evidence they had for them killing my son for nothing just because he was a black man.
All the evidence they had. Yet we're still here. Like, this is just damn ridiculous.
I thought this stuff would be over with. But just
in the Glenn County Courthouse, Marcus Arbery feels like he's reliving the 2021 trial for his son Ahmaud Arbery's murder as he listens to deliberations from attorneys asking a judge for a new trial for the three men convicted of killing his son. The first witness to take the stand was Kevin Goff, who represented William Bryan in his 2021 murder trial. Goff was asked by the defense about GBI interviews he and his client agreed to. Bryan's current attorney is arguing Goff's counsel was ineffective and he failed to adequately prepare himself in William Bryan, resulting in Bryan incriminating himself. A private investigator hired by the McMichaels defense team after the murder trial was questioned next. The investigator was questioned about interviews he conducted with 3 jurors 6 months after the trial. The last person to take the stand was one of the jurors who was interviewed by the investigator. This juror was asked what he heard during a rally while getting lunch. The juror also said he didn't realize he was being recorded during his 2022 interview with the private investigator, causing the state to say the jurors who were interviewed were, quote, bamboozled. The judge also called into question the relevance of some of the information presented by the defense.
Everything they were bringing at, and they were weak. They were very weak. They were throwing everything to the wall, nothing would stick.
They're going to fight. They're going to lose because the law is overwhelmingly against them. If you were listening today, that's what you heard.
Again, the judge did not make a final decision today. Instead, he's going to give the state and defense some time to sum up their arguments in a briefing, and then he will make his final decision after that. Reporting in Brunswick, Christina Burgess, First Coast News, on your side.
It's funny. They don't want to be locked up, do they? They could have just left him alone.
More than anything else, his lack of verbal skill really hurt him on the day of the shooting and in the interview that followed, because he really needed a lawyer. And had he had a lawyer before he made those statements to the police, I don't think he'd be here today.
Lack of verbal skill. Like, this dude make the one guy, Roddy Rod, whoever, the one that put the video out, sound like an idiot. I mean, and really, they probably wouldn't have they wouldn't have even got arrested probably if he wouldn't have put that out. That showed their guilt. And so I'm definitely not about to listen to all of that. That's like a whole 7, dang near, well, it was 6 hours and 19 minutes, and it was quite boring. The little bit that I did read, the audio was bad. You could barely hear anything. And it just annoyed me that the court had a worse dang on audio, buzzing, sneezing, shuffling papers. It just drives me nuts. So I'm definitely not watching that. I think it's a bunch of bull. And it ain't no need for all of this. It's a waste of taxpaying money and a waste of damn time. That tell them to go clean up the bathroom or something to keep themselves busy. We don't want to hear about it. Like, I mean, come on. First of all, they was out way too long for us to even be talking about this today. They was out way past the time that they should have been out. Now they trying to get out of prison altogether. Didn't y'all get charged like 30 years too for a hate crime on top of everything that they got? Like, go sit down and chill out. Enjoy the stay. You know, just, I mean, a black person bother you that bad. But see, these people, they not thinking that they gonna go down. They not worried. They not thinking they going to prison. You know, what did he do? Called the DA. That's what he did. I got myself in a little bit of trouble. I need some direction. Yeah, you need to go to prison. That's what you need. That's it. That's all.
A conversation we're going to let breathe because it needs to happen today because of what's happening today. We're talking about one of the most shameful periods in our history. Thousands of innocent Black Americans lynched, innocent human beings hanged for alleged offenses or just hanged because of the color of their skin. And until today, lynching has not been ruled a federal crime, but that will change with the swipe of a pen soon. President Biden is finally going to sign the Emmett Till Anti-Lynching Act into law. Emmett Till was just 14 years old when he was accused of whistling at a white woman in 1955 in Money, Mississippi. He was later kidnapped, beaten, and lynched. His body then tossed into the river. His mother, Emmett Till Mobley.
And it's something about Mississippi too. I mean, just I know they said Javion's truck had Mississippi plates, or at least that's what the wife of the T&R shop said. Oh, the plate said Mississippi. Where's he from? It just made me think about him when they said Mississippi because, yeah, Mississippi is horrible from what I'm hearing. I would never go there, or Alabama. I don't even like it down there.
Spent her entire life fighting for justice for her son. She would have wanted to be here for this moment today. Lynching will now be considered a hate crime under federal law.
She spent her whole entire life fighting for her son and wasn't able to be here to see this. Just disgusting.
And joining us now, the bill's sponsor, Representative Bobby Rush, and Emmett Till's cousin, Deborah Watts, who also keeps the spirit of Emmett alive through the Emmett Till Legacy Foundation. So glad to have you both. Congressman, I know we had you lined up. I know this is a big day, but Deborah, we've been calling you because I know you're en route. You're going to be there as well. Thank you so much for zooming in at the last minute. This is just so terrific to have you both.
But see, this is one of those tokens too, because what they doing with it? This is what I'm talking about. How many of them are they actually ruling that? Has anybody been convicted under this, or what is it? Just we'll give them something, but we ain't gonna do a damn thing. We'll get you out of anything that involves lynching. We gonna keep doing this. This is why people become cops, so they can, some of them become cops so they can get away with it, pull you over, and then turn on you. You know what I'm saying? Like, they already got you at a disadvantage. You can't run from them. They got sirens. They got, cars. They got handcuffs, billy clubs, and tasers, and all this stuff to outnumber you, to attack you, and you can't even defend yourself. Like, this is just absolutely disgusting. I mean, it's the worst kind too. You see what I'm saying? Because it ain't nothing fair about it. Like, you gotta stop for them. You gotta pull over for them, and then they can just lie on you and have you get dang near unalive by them if they don't do it, and plus spend the rest of your life in prison. They plant drugs on Black people every time they get. Yet they talking about some full immunity. Yet they're talking about turning off body cam footage and dash cam footage. Like, if it ain't no footage, they need to be fired. And then too, are they looking at all of these dirty cops? Are they looking at the people that they arrested to let them out? Because 9 times out of 10, they didn't do what they're being accused of. It's just crazy how these people who are the worst of the worst, the type that I'm talking about, and I'm not talking about an entire race. I'm talking about individuals that do this. Ain't no hate in my heart. I don't care how hateful the world is. I won't allow it to take me over. But I ain't no fool either. I see what's happening, and I see that the law is behind them. So we are outnumbered and out everything. Like, they got the law. They are the law. Like, how do you win against this? Fight them with the law? Like, it's just crazy. Like, it's like coming to your enemies for help. I mean, the same law that don't work for you is the same law that you got to try to plead to for change. But I'm telling you, nothing is going to change without it, though. And it's sad. But nothing is going to change unless the law change. They'll take your money, have you wrapped up in court, do the whole song and dance thing, but until the laws change on how they look at these cases when they happen, it's going to continue to happen this way. And the people that are doing it, they know that this is protecting them, and that's why they keep doing it.
Congressman, let's start with you. This has been a long time coming. Tell me how it feels. What does this mean for history? What does this mean for Black America?
It don't mean a damn thing.
This is the day that the Lord has made. I'm rejoicing and I'm glad about it. Certainly I'm glad to be in it. I am just really kind of overwhelmed that finally, after 6,500 murders in our nation, after over 100 years and over 200 attempts, we are finally getting up to the point where it would be against the laws of our nation to lynch someone in the manner of Emmett Till, and lynch someone because of their race, the color of their skin, because of their religion, because of their sexual orientation, because of hatred. And at this very moment, I am just so overwhelmed by the courage of Emmett Till Mobley, who said that, made the decision, said that I'm going to keep that casket open so that I want the world to see what they did to my Emmett. And had she not had that courage, and had not the Till family, and had they not continued to fight for all these years, we would not be at this place today. So this is a remarkable moment for our nation, for the members of Congress, members of the House and the Senate, for the Till family, and for America, and freedom-loving people all around the world.
Amen to that. I feel like I'm not only listening to a congressman, but I'm listening to a preacher right now. He has just...
Anyway, we're going to go on to Jelani Day. Listen, y'all, I'm just fed up because it's just bug. Like, I get the old man, you know, that's the times that he came from, but it means nothing for us. If it meant anything, we wouldn't be talking about Javion today. I'm just saying. It's BS. No real fix, no real resolve, just a bunch of BS. And it never seems to change. And it just seems like that's just the way they want it to be. But we're going to go on to Jelani Day because I'm going to be talking more about him. I got a full playlist, but this is the one that, you know, I think about him when talking about Javion because they were both.
As you can imagine, the family is absolutely heartbroken. The coroner's office.
Javion was only 21. Jelani was 25. He was studying to be a doctor, though, and he came across some vicious people that wanted his life. And his mother is still fighting for him to this day. And so I like to compare these two cases because it's a lot of similarities. It's gonna be a fight, though. You know, it's gonna be a fight. Carmen Day had 3 autopsies. But you know what? Before I do that, let's look at this one because this really tripped me out, y'all. It was a skull that they found. And I'm gonna go to that because how they try to make it seem like they can't figure things out or, you know, whatever. Like, they could find out whatever they want. Whatever they want. Modern technology is something else. I just thought this was very, very interesting. Did anybody see this? You know, one of the things that I thought was interesting is when they said the skull that they found it had to be before the 1900s. I'm like, what? So, I mean, call me crazy, but
Thank you all
how
for
do they
coming this
know?
morning. My name is Rob Russell, and I am the
How do they know by the skull that it was before the 1900s? Like, what they putting in our food to change our head structure? What's happening? Like, how do the way your head is made change from time to time? I'm really, but that's basically what they said though. They could tell that it was from this person was from the 1800s. So you tell me this right here was this came across my TV, my phone a few days ago. This is new, y'all. Let me know if y'all seen this. Let me see what does the title say. It says girl found in wall of home. And then it says ID'd as 19th century teenager. Let's see how sophisticated they are when they want to be.
Corner in Kane County. We are here today to bring closure to an incident that originated in 1978. This case started many years before it was made known to us and is an example of great teamwork. With me today are some of those team members. Next to me, I have Deputy Coroner Gabriella Allison. She is the lead investigator in this cold case. Next to Gabby is Michael Vogan. He is from Othram Incorporated in the Woodlands, Texas. Chief Maza from the Batavia Police Department. Next to Chief Maza is Kane County Chair Corrine Parag. And next to Corrine is Batavia Mayor Jeff Shelkey. Also in attendance today, we have Kane County Board Member Leslie Juby.
I don't care about all that now. Get to the story, sir.
On November 12, 1978, a citizen, James Skinner of Batavia, was renovating his residence at 239 East Wilson.
Wait a minute, hold on.
Was renovating his residence at 239 on November 12, 1978.
So this is from 1978? Hold on.
A citizen, James Skinner of Batavia, was renovating his residence at 239 East Wilson in Batavia. Upon knocking down a wall of the residence, Mr. Skinner discovered what appeared to be a human skull between the studs of the wall. Mr. Skinner immediately called the Batavia Police Department and an investigation was started. At that time, DNA and genealogical records were not as advanced as they are today, so options were limited. Batavia Police did an incredibly thorough investigation with what they had available at that time. Several outlets were contacted to include national labs, museums, as well as colleges and universities. The most that could be obtained at that time was from a university professor who surmised that the skull was from a young woman around age 20. It was also determined that the skull was from someone prior to 1900. Batavia Police searched records for missing persons and no additional information was revealed. After the exhaustive search and investigation, the case grew cold. On March 10th, 2021, employees of the Batavia Depot Museum were cleaning and making room at the museum when a box containing a skull was found. Not knowing where the skull originated, museum employees called the Batavia Police to report the finding. Batavia PD performed a search of their records and found the original 1978 report. No additional evidence was recovered from the search. The Batavia Police Department then decided to appropriately remand the skull to the Kane County Coroner's Office for continuation of the investigation. The next day, we continued the investigation, and because the case was minimally over 40 years old, I decided that the cold case team was best suited to investigate this incident. Deputy Gabriella Allison was assigned as the lead investigator. I started the cold case investigative team in July of 2015 to review old cases in response to citizens who had legitimate questions and concerns in relation to previous equivocal death rulings. Upon reviewing existing evidence and chasing down leads for 2 years, we became aware of a company called Othram Laboratory in Texas. This company performed a relatively new investigative technique called Forensic Investigative Genetic Genealogy, or we'll call it FIG, F-I-G-G for short. This is the same procedure that was used to catch the Golden State Killer in 2018. By the time we had heard of them, Othram had already solved over 100 cases across the country using this process. Our hope was that if FIG could solve these cases, then maybe a profile could be established for ours. Although our case was much older, we placed our hope in Othram's process. Othram graciously offered to look at the skull to determine if they could obtain any DNA from the skull, even though it was so old. After several weeks, Othram informed us that they were able to obtain some usable DNA that they could test, and if they were able to obtain a profile, it could be run through their database where members of a family with similar ID could be discovered. Othram said that if we would like to do this procedure, the funding required could be obtained through a crowdfunding site as a means of obtaining the required fees needed. I felt that the public would be interested in helping in the solution, so the crowdfunding option appealed to me. So in December of 2023, a press release was sent out about the unknown identity of the 1978 found skull with an appeal to the public for their help. With the help of the media, many of you who are here today, and the generous individual citizens who answered that call, we were quickly able to gain the funds necessary to perform the ancestral match with the DNA from the skull. Within 2 weeks of me officially authorizing the testing and genetic matching of the skull, Othram sent a report to us stating that the profiles had yielded a match. Not only did they have a match, but also a family tree with living relatives. Othram asked that we make contact with the assumed family lineage members for confirmation. We reached out to the second great-grandson of the person in question, and he submitted DNA to Othram to confirm a DNA family match. The grandson's DNA was confirmed as a match. We now know the skull found in the wall in Batavia as Esther Granger.
Wow.
Esther was born on October 26, 1848 in Indiana. In 1860.
Wow. So, I mean, I know he said a lot. Like they got some money together and they wanted to get this figured out. Like they finally got some funds to be able to do it. I hear him say something like that. So, like I said, they can figure out whatever they want. You know what I'm saying? Whatever they want. This is from this skull they said was found in 1978. And yeah, it appears that they held on to it. And to the point to where they know. And I said this a while ago that if you've ever had like an ancestry DNA done, they have solved so many crimes from that. So law enforcement is using that to make arrests and connections, connecting people to certain families to catch criminals and all of that. So they use some of that as what I'm hearing and whatever else they did, but they figured it out. So you can't tell me that you can't have a second funeral if you get a second autopsy. I mean, you can't have a funeral if you get a second autopsy. That's BS. Jelani Day body sat out there for 11 days, I think, in the water. Then it was 30 days before they even identified who he was and all that. So now we have a Jelani Day bill that you got to make sure you identify families before, a certain length of time within a certain amount of days. And it's just crazy. It's stuff that they should already know, but they do stuff, mess up severely. Sometime a law or bill or whatever is created and sometime it's not. And I remember even from that alone, like them changing it to a Jelani Day bill to not do what they did to him to others. They had the biggest issue with that. See, when you request the FOIA request, the Freedom of Information Act, you get everything that was involved in the case. Emails and all kind of stuff too, I guess, is included in that. Because I was able to get those emails and I actually did a show about it, how they was talking crazy through them emails, mad about the bill and all this stuff and basically saying, oh, it's something we already had. And they pretty much just changed up the name and something else. Like they seem to be working against the Carmen Day family, Jelani Day family through everything involving the case. And I'm not sure who was Stephanie. I can't do her. Who can't you do? I was curious to know who you was talking about with that one.
At 16 years old, she married Charles Granger, and after a few months became pregnant with their first child. In May of 18.
Now this is crazy. Now y'all just heard them say she was 16 and married to somebody. She passed away right after having her baby. And had a funeral, I do believe. How did she end up in the wall is the question.
1865. At 16 years old, she married Charles Granger, and after a few months became pregnant with their first child. In May of 1866, Esther gave birth to a baby girl, but lost her life soon after due to complications from childbirth. She was buried in Maryville, Indiana, leaving behind a husband to care for their newborn daughter. In honor of his deceased wife, Charles named the baby girl Esther, the same name as her mother. So the question remains, if she died in 1866 in Indiana, how did she end up in a wall of a house in Batavia? We will never definitely know exactly, but with records and good reasoning, we've come to a common sense theory. We believe Esther was a victim of grave robbing. Grave robbing was quite common in that era,
Grave robbing.
as it was quite profitable. The grave robbers made the equivalent of 3 to 4 months' earnings for an average person working 60 hours a week. One body every few months would give a grave robber a reasonable living, which is why it was so attractive at that time. It was also dangerous. Although it was illegal, many law enforcement agencies did not enforce it. Justice was relegated to vigilantes, many of whom were family members of the deceased. Many riots occurred in response to known grave robbing incidents across the country, and several perpetrators of the crime were murdered. One such riot occurred here in Kane County in the city of St. Charles in 1849 in an incident called Richard's Riot, which is a separate. Esther was not part of that riot. Again, there is no absolute answer to how Esther ended up in that wall or where the rest of her body is located, but being a victim of grave robbing does fit the bill. Since discovering Esther's identity, we were able to make contact with Esther's.
You kind of laughed about that, the rest of her body. I mean, did they bury her? Did they go back to wherever they buried her at to see if the rest of her body is in there? If that actually did happen. Grave robbing, though, people is sick.
Second great-grandson, Wayne Sfiler. Wayne has been a great asset in helping us to determine Esther's identity. We are very honored to be able to serve his family by restoring a sense of decency to the life and death of his second great-grandmother. With the approval from her family, Esther Granger was laid to rest in Batavia at West Batavia Cemetery in a columbarium space donated very kindly by the city of Batavia. Wayne Sfiler gave an appropriate eulogy to his grandmother he never physically knew, however, stated he felt he knew Esther because he had such a great relationship with his own mother and grandparents. He knew Esther through them. The positive identification and probable theory of how Esther's remains were found in a house in Batavia was surmised through an intense investigative process. We are detectives sworn to uphold and investigate the truth behind those who pass on from this world. Although the entire office and our partners work together to conclude this investigation, I would like to specifically thank the following people and agencies. Special thanks to Deputy Gabriella Allison. She's been the hands and feet of this investigation. She spent not only hours, weeks, and months, but years at performing this investigation. I'd like to special thanks to the Batavia Police Department. They've been step in step with us the entire process. We just really appreciate what they've done. The city of Batavia and Mayor Shelkey, thank you. Thank you for stepping up and giving Esther a final resting place. The Batavia Depot Museum, thank you. Thank you for doing the right thing and calling the police and helping us to solve this crime, this incident, that crime. Osborne Laboratories, without them, we would be nowhere. Mr. Wayne Sfiler, who I believe is online, is it correct?
Yes.
Yes, he could not make it. He lives in Portland, Oregon. So he was able to make it through Zoom, and we will have him on and have him available for questions for those that are interested. Thomas Doggett from Thomas Doggett Photography, he took the forensic photos of the skull. And 3D Resin Solutions of South Elgin. They 3D printed the replica of that skull, which is right here. This is not the actual skull. This is the 3D printed replica of the actual skull. Because again, the actual skull has been entombed. Forensic artist Natalie Murray, who was able to take the skull, you can get that other, that one, and actually give us a picture of what Esther may have looked like. Is that not cool or what? Very cool, very excellent. I'd also like to thank my chief, Lauren Carrera, my assistant chief, Rebecca Nielsen, and the entire staff. They've all been great. We've all done our part as a good team does. Lastly, but not least, I want to thank all the citizens who donated resources and said prayers for a successful outcome. Understand that your gifts were put to great use and your prayers were answered. Thank you. I'd like to.
Hey, Jamie, why don't you call in? I would love to hear what you got to say. Let me put the number up. There it is. Call in. Let us hear what you got to say. Please subscribe and press that notification bell and thumbs up. Please subscribe. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. For sharing me. For sharing me. For sharing me. Thank you for so much. Thank you for sharing. Please call in, Jamie. We would love to hear and understand what you're saying. Shout out to everybody in the building. But anyway, they can find out whatever they want. They can put their resources into whatever they want to find out. And there's no such thing as like not being able to have a second autopsy, to have an open casket and all of that stuff. Like, it's just absolutely ridiculous. It's so much confusion about this case. There's no confusion. We have MTGV and keeping it straight. Thank you. And it's people. Thank you, Black People Unite, and welcome in too. But yeah, it is a few people that try to make it confusing. You know what I'm saying? And so some of your comments be confusing to me, Jamie. That's why I'm asking you to call in. Because when I talked about the trolls and stuff, I remember talking to you because I said you had some questionable comments. So I know sometimes things get confused when you typing, and I just want to make sure that we understanding what you're talking about. So call in. Okay, so I'm going to go on to the next video and wait for Jamie to call in. Okay, so let's see. Did we hear this? Reflect on 100 years past. I think we did. Oh, this is where they talk. I'm kind of skipping around, but this is where they talked about the arrest warrant or something that they found for old girl. I might have played it already, but then maybe I didn't. Let's play it anyway.
This is evidence. This is new evidence that no one had ever searched for, and we were able to find it. It was unbelievable. It was overwhelming. We all cried.
Tonight, the family of Emmett Till is renewing their calls for answers after discovering an arrest warrant in a case that was never served. The name on it, Mrs. Roy Bryant, who's still alive to this day. In the wake of this massive revelation, our Emily Longnecker
that no one had ever searched for, and we were able to find it. It was unbelievable. It was overwhelming. That no one had ever searched for, and we were able to find it. It was unbelievable. It was overwhelming. We all cried.
Tonight, the family of Emmett Till is renewing their calls for answers after discovering an arrest warrant in a case that was never served. The name on it, Mrs. Roy Bryant, who's still alive to this day. In the wake of this massive revelation, our Emily Longnecker talked to an Indianapolis reporter who covered the case back in the 50s. He shares insight into the ongoing calls for answers and justice.
The crowds are gone, and this Delta town is back to its silent, solid life that is based on cotton and the proposition that a whole race of men was created to pick it.
Those were the words Indianapolis native Dan Wakefield wrote nearly 67 years ago as a reporter after covering the trial of two men, Roy Bryant and his half-brother J.W. Milam, accused of murdering 14-year-old Emmett Till.
I think all the reporters there understood. We all understood that the outcome of the trial was predetermined, that no jury of white men in Mississippi would convict these two white men.
And they didn't. Bryant and Milam went free, but later admitted in an interview they killed Till. They couldn't be retried, though, because of double jeopardy laws.
I think the whole country is still on a quest of sorts for justice and for justice being done.
Till's family is, after his relatives recently searched and found an unserved arrest warrant for Carolyn Bryant, who testified at her husband and brother-in-law's trial that then 14-year-old Till made a pass at her and threatened her. Wakefield remembers Bryant in court.
She was what the family wanted her to be, the demure, quiet, and also I would say, very confident, almost arrogant, as the men were.
This past December, the Justice Department closed an investigation into Till's murder after federal investigators reportedly couldn't prove Bryant, now in her 80s with the last name Dunham, had lied in her testimony about Till. Federal investigators
So it was this one. It started with this woman, right? That just ruined the whole family, terrorized the whole family, as she sits with two young boys. Disgusting. But yeah, Jamie, I wanted you to call in because I already was like, oh, you seem a little suspect from the last time. And then just some of the things that you say, I mean, clearly you must be a supporter because I see you in Taylor chat all the time. So I just want to make sure you really are a supporter and not somebody trolling every now and again. You know what I'm saying? Because some of the things you say, I don't know. I want to make sure I'm understanding. So call in, or unless we can't hear your voice, because I mean, it be some real trolls, okay, that they don't even want you to hear their face because they might have a black face, but they ain't black. You know what I'm saying? And for me, it don't matter if you black or white, because I don't have hate, and I don't hate a race of anybody. I hate individuals' behavior. And if it's a lot of you of one race, then oh well, I'm talking to you. If you're a part of the Triple K and doing things like this, you in law enforcement and you're not doing your job and you using your power for, I'm talking to people like that. But I do want to understand the people that's in the chat. I want to understand what you're saying, especially when you typing a little confusing and saying little things that seem to be a little bit suspect, not just to me, but to other people in the chat. But I don't see her saying nothing now. It's but anyway, I'm not gonna waste my time on it. But I see you though. I see you.
lied in her testimony about Till. Federal investigators had reopened the case after a book was reportedly published in which Bryant appeared to recant her claims against Till. But when federal investigators interviewed her, she reportedly denied she had lied about what happened.
I think she should be the one that give the rest of the story and tell the rest of the story.
That's because Johnny B. Thomas, who's the founder of the Emmett Till Historic Intrepid Center, has some deeply personal questions about Till's murder.
You know, they've always said that black men was involved. And I'd like to know, including my father's allegedly involved. He said he wasn't, but she would know.
Thomas says his father, who died in 2009, worked for J.W. Milam. And although his father was never charged for any involvement in Till's murder, allegations have always been there.
I'd love to have answers. I'd need answers.
Whether those come because of the recent discovery of the arrest warrant never served on Bryant is the question.
They've always known that there was a warrant issued, but never served. And of course now, serving it now, I don't know what good it would do with the case closed.
Well, I can tell you the same thing happened with the DA in Ahmaud Arbery's case. They ain't did a dang on thing to her. She got she was supposed to be tried and her day in court and nothing. So it's just, I mean, it's just something that they do. Like I said, if you go back to history, you will see exactly what's happening today. Ain't nothing changed.
Well, today, we also heard from civil rights activists in Raleigh, North Carolina, where Bryant currently lives. They're calling on police to work with Mississippi officials to finally serve the warrant and arrest her.
We were asking you to execute the warrant. Execute the warrant so that they can come to Raleigh. Or Raleigh will transport her back to Mississippi so that at least that the family of Emmett Till can get some justice.
Activists say if she isn't arrested, they plan to protest in Raleigh on Wednesday.
How'd that go? Like, man, listen. Wow, y'all see this? Do y'all see this? She lived a great life. When did she die again? Hold on, let me look that up because I know that she did pass. Let's see. And I do believe she was 88. Woo. Grand jury declines to indict the woman. What?
The lynching of Emmett Till
hold on.
nearly 70 years ago. Carolyn Bryant Dunham.
She look a lot different than these two pictures. Hold on, because I'm about to put this one up. What? Wait, what else I got in here? I ain't about to get rid of that. No, I can't. Let's see. Hold on, y'all. Let me show y'all the one I'm looking at right now. It's like 26 seconds.
Well, a grand jury in Mississippi today declined to indict the white woman whose accusation set off the lynching of Emmett Till nearly 70 years ago. Carolyn Bryant Dunham, now 88, initially claimed that Till made unwanted advances towards her at her family's grocery store. It led to the brutal torture and lynching of the 14-year-old. The prosecutor said the grand jury found insufficient evidence to charge Dunham.
Carolyn Bryant Dunham, the white woman who accused Emmett Till of making advances towards her, has died. 14-year-old Emmett Till was kidnapped and brutally murdered by Bryant's then-husband and his half-brother in Mississippi in 1955 over the allegation. The two men were acquitted in his killing by an all-white jury, but later confessed in an interview. The case gained national attention after Emmett Till's mother allowed Jet magazine to take and publish photos of her son's mutilated body in an open casket. The horrific image shocked the nation and served as the catalyst for the civil rights movement. Years after Till's death, Dunham admitted to fabricating parts of her story, although
she wasn't worried about nothing. So she died April 25th of 2023.
she was never charged with a crime. Professor Davis Houck joins us now. He's a professor of rhetorical studies at Florida State University, and he helped found the Emmett Till Memory Project. He also co-authored a book about the media response to Till's murder. Professor Houck, thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me on, Jim.
Sure. I'd like to start by asking you about sort of any interactions you had with the Bryant family.
I did. Back in 2009, word got out that the family was shopping a memoir. And I edited a book series with the University Press of Mississippi, and so I figured, why not? I wrote a note to the family. I had an address, and I sent it. And of course, I didn't figure I'd hear anything. Well, a week later, I get a phone call from a woman who identifies herself as Marcia Bryant. Marcia Bryant is Carolyn Bryant's daughter-in-law. And Marcia Bryant, first of all, wanted to know, how did you know we had a manuscript? And then proceeded to talk my ear off for about a half an hour about her mom being innocent. And the family's really never spoken. And so I just tried to keep her on the line, keep her talking. But I'll never forget how she signed off as we were getting ready to hang up. She said, your letter came in the mail, and another letter came in the mail with it. And in that letter was a death threat. And so what I gathered from that was the family worked very hard over many years to protect her because I think those death threats were not uncommon.
All right, so Carolyn Bryant herself hardly gave any interviews after the case. But if we have this right, in 2008, she reportedly told a historian by the name of Tim Tyson that key parts of her testimony were not true. So how does all of that figure into what her daughter-in-law was telling you? And what do you make of it?
Well, the FBI investigated Tim Tyson's claim that Carolyn Bryant supposedly recanted to him, and they did not find that evidence credible from Tim Tyson. And this summer, the memoir, the unpublished memoir, leaked. And for me, what's interesting is in that memoir, she sticks exactly to the story she gave on the witness stand on September 22nd, 1955. So I take her at her word, and her word we know is really just a bunch of lies. We know this because on September 2nd, just 2 days after Emmett's body was discovered, she was interviewed by a lawyer. And in that kind of deposition, she indicates what happened in that store. And Emmett did not put his hands on her. He did not talk dirty to her. He did not talk fresh to her. He did not talk about being with white women before. And so those were lies that she concocted on the witness stand 3 weeks later.
I just want to be clear about this, Professor. Never in the years after this did she ever express even a syllable of remorse, correct?
Well, in her memoir, she does do that, but she never did it in front of a camera. She never did it in a public venue. So you're right. The Emmett Till community, the family, wanted to hear from her directly, but that never happened.
All right, so the Bryant family obviously has had to live connected to this with a legacy. I'm just curious, have any of the other generations said anything about this in the almost 70 years since?
They really haven't. They've kept a real tight lid on her story. What I'll be interested to see is in the days and weeks ahead, did Carolyn Bryant perhaps leave instructions for somebody to talk? And we'll see. We've long wanted the family to say something. But again, the sons, the grandkids, nobody has said a word.
It's so important, obviously, to continue to tell the story of what happened. You have the Emmett Till.
Silence is violence. They don't give a damn, and she didn't either. And she died holding on to that because she's an evil bee. That's why she did it. Like, what? It ain't no other explanation, and may she burn in hell. It's disgusting.
Memory Project that you helped found to help do that. Can you just give us a little bit of insight into what the Emmett Till Memory Project is all about?
Yeah, I'm happy to. So we founded this project back in 2015. It was a joint project between the University of Kansas, my colleague Dave Tell, and Patrick Weems at the Emmett Till Interpretive Center, and my colleagues here at Florida State. And what we wanted to do is we wanted to educate a new generation, especially younger generations who are growing up on smartphones and who can go.
I mean, it's crazy how, I mean, she stood on her business, right? That's what she did. She stood on her square. She meant it. And she died with it in her heart still. I don't give a damn about no memoir or whatever they talking about. None of that. She didn't serve not no time for what she did. But you know what? That we know of. Ain't no telling what's happening in death right now. So I don't know. I don't have no heaven or hell to put her in, but she is full of Lucifer. That's all I see is a devil when I look at her with her turned up nose and privileged face. Okay, so we're gonna go on to Jelani Day. His mother continues to fight for him, and it hasn't been easy for her. And she's had 3 autopsies, and everybody that's supposed to fight and figure out what happened to Jelani is against the mother. She was one in the beginning that said she didn't want to come off as the angry black woman. And she wanted to believe that they was actually doing their job, but she quickly figured out that the longer she said nothing, the longer they would say nothing. The more that she tried to say anything, the more they disrespected her. And there's countless stories like this. Some you hear about more than others because some parents fight to the end and some parents don't know to fight. They just hear what they say. Some parents give up because they're hopeless. But Carmen is still fighting for her son. And as long as she fighting for her son, I'ma always talk about him. We love Jelani Day over here. And his mom and his siblings, and prayers to them. Unfortunately, his father lost his life because, Jelani was the only one that could save him, and they took him before he was able to help his father. So it was more than just Jelani that they took when they took him. And it's just disgusting. But I'm gonna go over a few videos concerning Jelani. I tried to focus in on the autopsy and stuff like that. So let me see what I came up with.
Hundreds of Illinois State University students marched in unity with Jelani Day's family and civil rights leader Reverend Jesse Jackson to demand further investigation into the cause of Day's death. The Illinois State University graduate student was last seen on campus in late August. His remains were found in early September before being identified later that month. And just yesterday, the LaSalle County coroner said that Day drowned, but his family is still asking federal agencies to get involved. Joining us to discuss the march in Peru, Illinois, and the investigation is Jonathan Jackson, a spokesperson for the Rainbow Push Coalition. We had hoped to also be joined by Carmen Bolden Day, Jelani's mother, and we do look forward to hearing from her. Jonathan Jackson, thank you for joining us. If you could, tell us more about what happened at today's rally.
Today, we had a staging area at the Peru Police Department in Peru, Illinois. We drove past where better than a mile away where his license was found. Then we drove better than a mile away to where the car was in a residential area in the bushes and in a walking trail, but a car was driven in that trail. From there, we went about 3.5 miles.
So his car was found at a YMCA off in some bushes, and the YMCA was in a residential area, and there was a cop car directly across from where Jelani's car was found. And everybody was like, how did he not see it? A car just tucked off in this spot that was like a walking trail. It wasn't it was like a walking trail that people made because they would cut through to go to the Y. This is the same Y footage that Carmen was told they didn't have footage that day that Jelani put in there, or however his car got in there. They absolutely did have footage, and that footage actually shows somebody driving in there that night. But all of a sudden, the footage is gone. So that was before she really knew the real beast that she was dealing with. That the people that was that is their job to help, they were against her. And they wasn't nice to her at all. I mean, real cold.
Miles over to the bridge where the clothes were found. And then we went to the final place.
So his clothes was found by some, according to the person that told her this, some bored white girls who decided to go look for his clothes because they remembered what he had on when he was leaving this weed dispensary. Now listen at this, y'all. This is why I say this case reminds me of Javion, because Jelani went from being out of school to a weed dispensary, and it don't make sense. Right after he walked out of the weed dispensary is when his phone went off and nobody heard from him again. So we believe that somebody made him go to the weed dispensary, just like I believe that they sent Javion for that rope, possibly just to set him up. It's a very much possibility because nothing is making sense. And maybe they decided they wanted to hunt that night and have some weird fun. Their kind of weird fun. I don't know. But these are just some similarities that I'm pointing out. The cop car right across from him, in the 20s, young man, starting a career. or, and about to graduate, or, Javion had just got done with his training and all of that and was off on his own for the first time in North Carolina. Jelani Day, he was a graduate of Alabama A&M, and he was in his graduate program, and he was going to be a doctor soon. And it was around COVID, so he wasn't on campus in the beginning, right? They was taking online courses. This was his first week on campus when all this stuff happened. Remind me so much of Javion.
Where the body came down shore about a mile and a half from there. So students from those campuses from Central Illinois all gathered asking for justice for Jelani. His parents and family members were there.
And it sounds like we know his belongings were found scattered about and in different places from where his car and, of course, his body were found.
Of course. So that is also how you know that it was allegedly law enforcement. Anytime you take belongings and you spread them all over the different places, that causes confusion with jurisdictions, and nobody wants to take the case. Whoever did this knew that will complicate things and cause nobody to really want to put their hands on this case. That's what they did.
What is it that you are asking of from Peru law enforcement?
Well, we're asking justice for Jelani Day. The case starts in Bloomington, Illinois, so it's Bloomington's case. And the mother who invited us as the Rainbow Push to come down and assist her in seeking justice for her child. They've not been in communication with her. They say it's multi-jurisdictional, that it starts in Bloomington, then it goes to LaSalle County. Items were found in Peru, the city, with buttresses against LaSalle, the city, which is in LaSalle County. The clothes were found on state property on a state road. The body was recovered by a state agency in the river.
So the clothes was found at a place called ADM Grain. And when I was looking up Javion's case, I seen that grain, it's a ADM Grain somewhere in that area also. I mean, they make grain, but I mean, I haven't really, that's where his clothes was found. And the weird part about it is when these bored white girls went to try to find Jelani's clothes, some guy was there that was a firefighter. Now I'm just thinking about this. Now he was said to be a firefighter. Now the guy from TNR, he was a retired firefighter. Remember, this guy said he was a firefighter who assisted in the search for Jelani. And when they came out there, he told them, go search over there. They didn't look over there. And they allegedly found Jelani's clothes balled up between some rocks. Make that make sense.
So we're asking for the Attorney General, since there is this multi-jurisdictional dropping of the ball and no one is taking leadership, no one's calling the parents back, no one's talking to them, and there's discrepancy in the cases. The man's eyes were out of his head. The jawbone was broken. Teeth were missing. They said the organs had been dissolved because they had been in the river for better than a week. There's too many inconsistencies. Jelani could swim. He was 25 years old. He's healthy. He was en route to medical school. We simply want questions answered.
And Jonathan, we know that yesterday Reverend Jesse Jackson visited with.
And that's a lot. That's a mouthful what he said about that autopsy. And he's right. All of that stuff was wrong. But they want to tell us Jelani did this to herself. They put him in water so everything could be ruined. You know what I'm saying? It would be easy to say that. Eyeballs gone, penis flayed, skin. The pathologist said he couldn't tell if he was black or white, male or female. Like, they did everything they could to mess up his body. Femur bone missing, jawbone sawed, teeth missing. They said organs liquefied and all of this kind of stuff. And I truly believe the fact that the director called and said something about him being a donor for his father was almost like that was some type of call. Oh, and he's a donor for his dad too. Like, what? What does that got to do with it? How do you even know that? Who told you that? Why you spreading that? Why are you calling your police friends to clean up everything before the actual police get started on it? It's just like, you got to look at the first people that was on the case when it first happened. That would be the director of that school, who admitted to texting him the night before, who he was supposed to do something for her, but Carmen was so distraught and stuff, and she didn't in the beginning. She was just so grateful for this woman helping her, right? In the beginning, she was just thanking her, but later on she started catching on, and other people was catching on, like, hold on, like, who is these police friends that she calling? Who is the, because she was able to have people before Carmen had told her about the Starbucks, because Jelani went to Starbucks, and somehow Kara, which is a director's name, said that oh, they got the Starbucks footage already or something like that. It was like she was doing too much. And so she had people pulling footage and looking and doing this and that. The third, she doing interviews on the news and never told Carmen. It's just like, and now she won't talk to her at all, and it's just weird. That same person you thought was helping you, I don't know, but ain't nobody arrested, no suspects, nothing. Like, it's like they did nothing. Their only hopes is that Carmen just be quiet, stop talking about it.
With students and staff at Illinois State University, he has compared this case to that of Emmett Till. What are the similarities you see here? How are you certain that foul play or hate crime could be at work here?
We're not saying hate crime. We're saying the gruesomeness of the body. A coroner that knew Jelani could not recognize the remains after 7 to 10 days. The mother was never able to see the body. We've been told there have been 3 autopsies that have all major discrepancy. The mothers had to pay for 2 autopsies, 2 private autopsies. What the coroner did for LaSalle County that issued a report yesterday was very disingenuous and very insulting. As opposed to sharing this with the parents and the family, he just broadcasted it and said that a body that a skull that's missing teeth, a jawbone that's been dismembered, eyes that are out, and organs that have been liquefied, that he could not tell if there were any organs in the body, had drowned face down for a young man that could swim. It makes no sense. So,
y'all hearing all this? It's ridiculous. The first thing they wanted to tell us, he did it to himself. His mother was not taking that. Oh, he did it to himself first, then, oh, he drowned. Simply because they put him in the damn water. This is the kind of stuff we're dealing with. We're supposed to trust what these people tell us that they find, and they can change it however they want to. Right, Street Angel. Right. She disappeared soon as I said call. Oh, you back? Call in, because I'm telling you right now, you looking like a troll, and we trying to make sure you good. Make sure we on the same team.
we're simply trying to ask the community to get involved. We've had 2 business persons to step forward and say they're offering awards for people that can lead to tips to help us solve this crime. This is a family of veterans. The mother and father are both veterans. It's a family of 5. They're all in college.
And Jonathan,
it makes no sense.
Sorry to interrupt, but we've got just a couple more minutes. I wanted to mention that the LaSalle County coroner, as we said, did identify the cause of death as drowning, but has said that we don't know how Jelani ended up in the river. And as you just said, as well as university and staff have said that, students and staff have said that he's an avid swimmer and was on the university's swim team, that his mother is paying for a private autopsy. Do you know when we might know the results of that autopsy?
No, we would expect that to be imminent, probably in the next week or 2. But to the point that how can this coroner, not release those findings to the parents, number one, but he says it publicly. Number 2, he says that there weren't organs in there and that the lungs that had been dissolved had water in them after having been in the lake, in the river for the last 10 days. He's a very dishonorable person, is what I would tell you about the coroner. And that's why there was a second and a third. And now the body's been so disfigured that you can't even do an autopsy. So after 10 days in the Illinois River, this body is what my father was referring to, Reverend Jesse Jackson, of being the gruesomeness of Emmett Till.
Yes. And
y'all hear that? This is the kind of stuff that we have to go through. The coroner, I'm talking about the signs is when they talking to you crazy. And I mean, a lot of bodies go through that coroner too. What is his name? Richard Plouch. This in Chicago. The coroner's in Chicago. Y'all know, like, that's crazy, man. They can tell you whatever they want you to believe. It don't stop. So familiar. All of the stuff that he's talking about. It's the same things that we talking about with Javion case. I mean, this kind of stuff, like, number one, you can't trust their autopsy. That's for sure. But with all of these places being connected, God dang, how do you escape the corruption?
Jonathan, in the few seconds that we have left, how would you say, when you look at this case, how does it compare to other missing persons cases that we've learned about nationally?
Well, I would tell you that what we've seen in, I would tell you not just missing persons, but the power of the Attorney General. When it's multi-jurisdictional, it starts in Bloomington and they're not sharing information. Cars going back and forth, there's evidence in between counties where the crime scene has not been roped off and no one is leading the investigation. That's why we're specifically asking for the Illinois Attorney General. We saw.
Exactly. See that, like I said, they messed it up. But when they put his stuff everywhere, they knew what they was doing. That's how you know it's law enforcement, like to know to do that. You know what I'm saying? It's strategic. Not necessarily law enforcement, but Triple K, some type of organization that work with law enforcement or in law enforcement. It's people that know. They know what they're doing. They know what to do to make it not be an investigation. Yeah, and that's bad. That's crazy when they end on a play because you can't win. But this is what I'm saying. God see it all, man. And it's crazy. Like, but it's so upsetting, y'all. It's like you outnumber, you out everything. Like, this ain't a fair fight. That's why I don't trust none of them. Not Jesse Jackson, none of them, because they've all been comprised and sold out. You know what? But I don't know. It's bad. Like, we don't trust nobody and we don't trust our leaders either. I mean, it's like you gotta use people how you can, I guess. I don't know personally what Jesse Jackson done. I know he been in the fight for a while. The only thing I can see is that they still speaking up for people. That's the only thing. When you in a situation like this and you don't have nobody with no direction, I'm sure you would appreciate a Jesse Jackson or somebody that's going to help speak up for you to show you the way. You know, so it's hard to be everybody against us and then we against us too. I got to find a medium somewhere. You know, and I mean, God dang. But it is like that for us, though. We don't trust nobody because we don't trust nobody. Just because we see the things from the past, we see the things that's happening now. But like, even what people say about Ben Crump, I don't agree with that. Lee Merritt, I don't agree with that. Like, because a lot of time, I mean, when you have lost a loved one and you don't have nobody to help and your family don't have no direction and can't nobody help you there, wouldn't you want somebody to speak up though? Say something? Wouldn't you want somebody to take your case pro bono that will fight for you in court because you don't have the money? Or would you just sit back and say, I don't trust them. I ain't gonna do nothing. No justice for my child. I'm gonna just sit here and do nothing. What do you do in that case? I mean, you gotta trust something. You just gotta be wise, I guess. I mean, but it sucks. Al Sharpton is a whole clown, man. Listen, I mean, I would appreciate a lawyer working for me. I would, especially if they gonna do a pro bono, and a lot of times they do. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, they do. People call them ambulance chasers, and they take certain cases. But I will also say, like in business, people have, in business you have a target audience. Yeah, in business you have a certain type of audience or clients that you look for, that you specialize in. Doctors, they specialize in something. Ben Crump, he specializes, he's certain cases he take, and we all know what they are. And a lot of those cases, I'm sure they're pro bono, and yeah, he get a big cut. And the family, he's a civil rights attorney. That's what he is to do, get you money for unjust acts. But I'm saying, I don't know. It's just a mess, and I hear people saying that all the time, but I don't necessarily feel the same way when it comes down to that, because if they wouldn't step up, then what will happen? Right, that's his target audience, though. That's the only way I can look at it. But I mean, we also judge each other hard too. But I see that he does that. He take cases that he know he gonna win, and that he gonna get the money. But by the time you get the Ben Crump, he's a civil rights attorney. That's what he do. His job is to get people money. And himself, because he's a lawyer. Like, he should get paid for what he do and stuff. But yes, but Ben Crump is always on high profile cases, although I appreciate it, but it is noticeable. Just being real about it. Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's true, but I mean, that's the only thing I can say, because when I be hearing people dogging them out really bad, I'd be like, but what if they wasn't there at all? Like, I mean, what do we do? I mean, what if there was nobody that would speak up for you? And it's just like, I mean, it's the parents' choice if they take the money or not. But if you were put in a situation where it's like, okay, they not gonna get justice, but at least we can get you paid. You can start a foundation or do something in their name. It's like, if they've already said that ain't no justice, is it wrong to take money? I don't know. I mean, Michelle says, I have no respect for Ben Crump since he was in the BET show crying with the likes of Don Hughley begging us to vote for Kamala Harris. Oh, you on some political reasons. I don't know. Everybody gonna feel the way they feel, though. We find somebody else instead of the same old folks that exploit us. Yeah, but where they at, though? Where they at? I mean, it's just like, oh, D.L. Hughley. Okay, I'm like, but I mean, I don't know. It's like, I just really try to think about that, though. It is just a few that we see, and it's like, they all kind of working together. But I mean, yeah, you could go out and seek somebody that you know nothing about, and that you can go look. These people are already here. They probably, I don't know, y'all. Like, I mean, I don't feel the same way about them that everybody do, because I see them as a help. And also, I see how people fall out. Like, even when I was following the Kanika Jenkins case, and how people attacked Jedediah and didn't like him and felt like he shouldn't make no kind of money with what he was doing. And it's just like, people get funny when it come down to making money, even with content creators. I've heard that with other people, not with myself, but like, if you are covering a case some people feel like, oh, you getting paid and not like what is, I don't get that. Like, it's YouTube is a business too. And I feel like people should get paid for their work, but that's me. But I'm also a businesswoman, you know, so I get it. But who works for free? And it's okay to find someone who is not well known, because we need a team of lawyers, especially at the rate they are dropping. Yeah, I mean, it is, but you don't know you don't know if they really gonna be able to get it, if they got the clout that these others have is so much. And then you got these people coming to you saying, hey, I can help you. And you are distraught. You don't even know the first steps, because it's not like the average family study this kind of stuff. What would you do if something happened to your child? Who pre-sets for these things? Who's ready? And the average people, like, they don't know nothing. And then you got these lawyers that you've seen on TV that's willing to help. Yeah, you gonna take the help, you know. I mean, I don't know. It's a horrible situation to be in. Miss V, thank you for allowing a place to talk about this. Even we don't agree is all. Even we, yeah, that's fine. It's fine to disagree. I don't get mad at people for disagreeing. I get mad when people get disrespectful. You know, you ain't gotta agree with me. But Blacks should start hiring Black lawyers for their cases. Yeah, we need more people to go to law school and stuff like that. But it's just so much that is needed in the Black community. Number one, the law should work for everybody. Just like with the gun laws, I don't feel like they work for us the same. Like, for instance, with the Breonna Taylor, you got these road cops or thug cops coming in, busting through your door, like just to rob you. Basically, you fire at them because you don't know who they are. They didn't enter your house, and then somehow you're in trouble for it, and they still trying to go after him. I haven't looked at, I heard about it, but I didn't look it up yet. There's something going on with that, with the Breonna Taylor thing. And you want the laws to work the way that they supposed to work, man. Okay, let me finish playing this out.
Oh, the same sort of scenario happened. Yeah, we saw this happen in Minnesota with George Floyd, when it was a question on jurisdiction. Keith Ellison, the Attorney General, stepped forward and brought all the agencies together.
And it's certainly
for the leadership and Kwame Raoul.
It's certainly a tragic case either way. Jonathan Jackson, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
We're fighting for justice for Jelani Day. Reverend Jackson, Jonathan Luther Jackson, Bishop Travis Grant, Reverend Cameron Barnes went to.
One of the best things that God blessed me with, going to ground, and I won't ever get to talk to him or see him. One of the best things that God blessed me with, going to ground, and I won't ever get to talk to him or see him. Nothing anymore. So when you ask me what's it like, it's, I don't even have the words to tell you what it's like. Yeah. It's beyond hurt, because I shouldn't be lowering him into the ground. Nothing in his life, nothing that his walk would make you think that he deserved to be found face down in a river, decomposed. I can't identify him.
This is a case that we are following. We support the Jelani Day family as they continue to try to find answers. What happened to Jelani Day? Who murdered Jelani Day and why? Listen to what happened when Reverend Jackson went to the cemetery. You'll hear from Jonathan. He'll give us an update.
Too much inaction. Something has not been, there's not been involved. We'll get involved. So just leave me further.
They're seeking justice. Who is Jelani Day? Jelani Day is a medical student in graduate school, head on right, in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing. We want to know, how did this young man get into the river and get decomposed, and there's no urgency to find out about his death. We simply want to know that there's equal justice, the same sort of speed and diligence and alacrity that was put behind Miss Gabby Petito. We want to see that put behind every man, every child, every young lady. People that have lost loved ones have a right, and it's the right thing to do, it's the moral thing to do, to close murder cases. This is our focus. Why are we organized to meet on Saturday mornings at 10 a.m.? Why did this come to being? Well, when my father, the Reverend Jesse Jackson, came to Chicago under the leadership of Reverend Martin Luther King, he wanted to have Operation Breadbasket. He picked up that model of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, where they met on Saturday mornings so they could go to church on Sunday morning. Church is for our personal salvation. This is a compliment to the church. This is for social salvation. No church can make this amount of time for this message that Miss Day has given today. And I ask you, is this the work of the church that we are talking about? Doesn't Miss Day and other families deserve to have justice? Well, that's what we are about. We're going to have social salvation. Now, Miss Day, I want to thank you, and I'm going to have you come back real soon. Doesn't she have a magnificent, beautiful family? And doesn't this woman represent a paragon of power and composure for what she's dealing with? This isn't a third-party case. This is her child. Now, on some housekeeping business in the work of the church. My father, the Reverend Jesse Jackson, and I, we've been trying to reach out onto some good news to our Attorney General, Brother Kwame Raoul. I love and respect Brother Kwame Raoul, and this platform has been open to him ever since he first had public ambitions. I've not spoken to Kwame this past week after we've reached out. We're not going to have a rah-rah cha-cha with a fist up in the air talking about Black Lives Matter. We're going to show you that Black Lives Matter. We don't like to go into the backfield because we don't like to have inflammatory stuff, but sometimes I can't take it anymore, and I'm tired.
So, Jamie, I know they said he responsible. I don't care what they said. We could see who was responsible. The people who lied to get the no-knock warrant and who went into her home illegally. That's who's responsible, no matter what they say. But that's how the system works. But that's why those kind of comments, that's why I'm asking you to call in. Those kind of comments. What? Oh, Lord, listen.
Of waiting, and I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. Once you have done everything we've asked you to do, to get up, to register, to vote, to go to the poll, and when we win, we cannot be treated like we are second-class citizens. We have Haitians in this city. If this city can be a sanctuary city for Hispanics and Mexicans, it can be a sanctuary city for Haitians. Not tomorrow, today.
Jamie ain't fooling nobody, though.
You all are missing the point. Ms. Day, if
this person go in and out, you know what I'm saying? It's like it, and the fact that you can't call. That will kill everything if you call. I know I'm trying to tell you I see what's going on. Call. I'm asking you to call, ma'am. I want to hear your voice. I want to know who I'm talking to. Because you got a lot to say. That's all. But if you can't, then I'll just, draw my own conclusion.
If they can find $65 billion, they've asked for $6.5 billion for resettlement for Afghanistanis to come to America. They've never been an ally of the United States. We respect and we welcome our brothers from Afghanistan, all 95,000 that they have already approved. We're talking about Americans and America's oldest allies. The Haitians deserve to have money appropriated so they can resettle, relocate. There's not been an earthquake in Afghanistan. Their president flew out of town for his safety. The Haitian president was assassinated, and they've had a natural disaster. Come on, ladies and gentlemen, let's pick up our head. When we stand up, people get off of our back.
In the year 2020 alone, there are nearly 30,000 Black women, men, and children reported missing throughout the United States. This is a staggering statistic. And it's just one of many profound numbers representing the racial disparity and impact.
Jelani Day experienced firsthand the frustration. Janine Donaldson sat down with Jelani's mom today.
Searching for their children don't have to endure the disrespect.
Friends, people I didn't know. And I at the point that it didn't seem to
respect, lack of compassion, reason.
At what point did you even decide that having your own private investigator and attorney was necessary?
At the point when I wasn't hearing nothing from nobody, at the point that it didn't seem to me that Bloomington was putting any effort into finding my son, nor Peru, and that only people that was looking for my son was me, my children, my friends, people I didn't know. And I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to.
See, and that's what I'm saying. Like, you got to know when to step up and do what you got to do. You got to even realize that these people don't always do their job. And the most time that they don't do it is when they involved, allegedly.
Playing a search party. I didn't know where to look at. I didn't know who to talk to. I didn't know how to do anything. But I was doing everything that I thought.
We have to remember the lead detective on this case said that he didn't work on the weekends and he wasn't going to be back to Monday or something crazy like that. And she was like, well, who going to look for my son? I can't wait.
That I knew how to do. So I needed to find somebody that knew more than me, that had more knowledge of doing stuff than me. My mom kept saying, Carmen, get a private investigator. But me, I did not want to come across as the angry Black woman that was being uncooperative. So I was giving these people a chance. And I was nice to them for too long because I felt like if I hadn't been that angry, frustrated Black mother and got on them sooner, I don't know, I would have got better results. I would have got faster results. I would have knew something more in an earlier time frame than it had taken me 30 days. Therefore, from September 4th till yesterday, my son has been laying somewhere. And I've been praying and hoping and wishing that I was bringing him back home. And whatever they felt that they knew, they felt like that was my son, that they should have been straightforward with me. They should have been helping me. They should have been looking. They should have been doing something, but they wasn't. They even had the nerves to tell me, Carmen, I don't mean to be rude, but do you know there's a 50% chance that that's Jelani? Do you think I'm delusional? I'm not in denial. I know what I'm praying for. I know what I'm hoping for. But I understand there's a 50% chance. But at the time, so while we waiting for the identity of this body, you just sitting there with your hands in your pockets and not doing nothing? And you want me to sit here and accept that? Because that's my son out there somewhere and I don't know where he is. I don't know who has him. I don't know what they're doing to him. I know when Jelani gets cold, he breaks out in hives. I know Jelani likes to eat. He hungry. I know when I see him in them shorts, what's going on with my child? I don't care that he's 25. That's my baby. And they didn't give two craps about my son.
And they don't. None of our sons. Because we continue to hear this story over and over and over. Now, y'all heard her say when she seen him in those shorts, she's like, what's up with my son, basically. That's not something that Jelani would normally wear, what he had on at that dispensary. So the fact that he went to the dispensary, I feel like somebody sent him there. This is how calculating these people are, trying to taint him, trying to set it up. Oh, let's send him there. Somebody had to have been in that car that put fear in him. That's the only thing that explained his phone powering off as soon as he left out of there. He went there at 9:10, 9:12. He on his way out, his phone goes off. And they found his phone too near there. So I guess when the phone went off at the same time, they threw the phone out the car. And the next thing we hear is this. How do you start your day to meet this professor? You go to school, clock in 7 o'clock. They got you logging in and all this. So, I mean, it's just crazy because he had on one outfit. He was dressed. He was supposed to be meeting his professor. The director is the same person that did all this extra stuff. That's the same person he was supposed to meet. She said she talked to him the night before. He was supposed to do something for her. What was that? She didn't know him that well. Jelani he was new to the school. So why was she so on him? But he had appeared to have hung out with a bunch of white girls from that area. Some people could have got mad. They could have been jealous of him. You know what I'm saying? They don't want to see you doing well. We talking about the Triple K and you in a sundown town. Black, nice, shiny car. All these people going crazy about you, hanging out with the, ain't no telling.
They didn't care. They didn't look for him.
They already knew.
They wanted to create, and they still want to create this narrative that he did something to himself.
Only time people want to do that is when they the ones that did it. You know what I'm saying? Like what? Or they know they buddies or something. Like they trying to get you off their trail.
And he did not. He was too focused on wanting to become Dr. Jelani Day, to make sure his mom was okay, to make sure his dad was okay, to make sure he was okay.
And these people want to tell her that her son did this to himself. Oh, he drowned. Oh, he's an avid swimmer. This boy know how to swim. He ain't no drowning. Try drowning yourself and you know how to swim. It's just the same way as choking your damn self. They want you to believe the most freaking ridiculous stuff. And it's so upsetting. When you know it's pure jealousy why both of these kids is gone, 21 and 25. They both could have been mine. So they kids to me because they was intelligent, because they was black, because they had goals, and these people hate us. The same people that took Javion, took Jelani, they are part of the same organization of beliefs and probably on the same team allegedly. But man, come on, because it has the same elements of confusion and bullshit.
Jelani tell me all the time, none of my kids have kids. None of them. I'm not a grandmother. I've always wanted my kids to do better than me, and they all have.
She is a grandmother now. Her Seve had a little girl, I believe, or he had, a little girl.
I would tell me, Mama, when I get married, I'm gonna marry the right girl. So Jelani didn't play around. I only got one son to do that. Jelani wasn't him. Jelani did different stuff. You know, he liked to have fun and go travel and stuff. And he had girlfriends, but he didn't have serious relationships. And because he said when he find that right woman, he was gonna do the right thing. And he said, Mama, I'm gonna have 6 kids, because he liked this big family of him having all these brothers and sisters. So he wanted to have that. And I used to tease him all the time, and I say, and we're gonna get one to act just like you. He said, Mama, I'm gonna bring him home to you. I don't even get to experience that with my child. I don't even get to experience seeing Dr. Jelani Day. When my son got his white coat in undergrad, and he sent me that picture that day, I was so proud of him. When he started going and applying for grad school, and he kept getting put on waiting lists, he was so frustrated. He was like, Mama, nobody's gonna let me into school. And I told him, John, we're gonna pray. And I was like, John, maybe you should look at going to school close here. I said, God's will is not always our will. He wanted to go to Florida. I didn't want him to go that far, because I'm like, what if something happened to you? I gotta get to you like this. So when he got accepted to ISU, he called me. He was happy he got accepted to school. It wasn't his first choice, but he was ready to get back in grad school. He was ready to get back in school, and being in grad school meant something to him. Then when he called me and wanted that apartment, and I got the apartment for him, he was happy again. You know, this was his first apartment on his own. So we talk about him decorating and all kinds of stuff. We were supposed to have been doing that.
Wasn't even all the way unpacked. Jelani had just got back from out of town because he was supposed to help his sister move into a dorm. I think she ended up not going. And he was coming back from Texas, I think. He still had his luggage in the car. Yeah, the luggage was still in the car even when he passed. His apartment wasn't decorated yet. Like literally everything he had just got it, and everything was still packed up and stuff. Like they just ruined everything. Y'all just heard her say, I mean, they whole future had plans to retire his mother early. Mom, you ain't got to worry about nothing. You know, this is what they don't want. They don't want that. You know, they want to be able to accuse us of being nothing, lazy. Don't want to, which is far from the truth. Is lazy as hell people in every race in the world. Trust me. But yeah, this is heartbreaking. We're gonna keep listening.
I'm turning 50 next year. My dream is to go to Paris on my 50th birthday, to wake up in Paris. I changed that and I said, no, Jelani, I'm gonna wake up on an island. He said, no, Mama, your dream is to go to Paris. He's supposed to be there with me. My son ain't gonna get to do none of that with me no more. And somebody took that from me. And I know Jelani ain't just let nobody take him. He didn't just let nobody put him somewhere. Jelani had to know this person because nothing in his car was undisturbed. He trusted you enough to something. He was familiar with whoever did this, the people that did this. And it had to be more than one person because Jelani would fight. Jelani could fight. Jelani been known to fight. He didn't want people to know of him like that, but he could defend himself. And it took more than one person. It took more than two people to do whatever they did to Jelani. Or they had to have a weapon. And I just want answers now. I want answers because my son didn't just disappear in thin air.
And you know, it's so ridiculous because there was like a boot print, there was a clip, there was some other stuff that looked like it could have been law enforcement stuff out there. Like, come on, man. They know who did it and they covering for who did it. It's obvious. And the crazy part is too, like when they were supposed to be looking for him, they telling her, oh, we can't find nothing bad about your son. Why are you looking for something bad? It's like, so if you are the type that got a bad record anyway, they can just have their way with it. But if you a college student, you ain't got no bad record and all that stuff, they sitting up there trying to find something on him to connect with their BS things that they want us to believe. Their BS findings, their narrative. But they couldn't find nothing bad about him. And they was looking. Why they was supposed to be out looking for him and trying to figure out what happened to him. No, they was trying to build a case on him. Obviously, they must have been the ones that did it.
You know that that's him, but that's it.
That's it.
And you have gone about this in a way that you try not to be the angry black woman. Mm-hmm. You try to be, you know, the mom that's going to scorch the earth to find her son. You're going to look under rocks when nobody else will. Mm-hmm. Going forward, we know police are still investigating. Are you leaving it there?
Allegedly.
No. I know now there's an urgency, that there are eyes on them, that people are now aware, they know about Jelani, and Jelani is important. So if I have to do it again, I would do it. I wouldn't change nothing. I'd do it all again. But nobody should have to do that. No parent, no mother, father, nobody should have to go through the hoops, should have to go through the extremes, should have to beg and plead. Nobody who has got up there and said that they want to protect and serve and help. That's not service. Nobody should have to do that. So if anything, I do believe, even though my son is gone, I'm not going to let them forget Jelani. Something good is going to come out of this. Because what the devil meant for bad, God going to turn it around for good. Something good is going to come out of this. If me doing everything that I did now brought exposure that other black kids are missing, because I never heard of that young black man in Arizona that was missing until just the other day. And he's been missing longer than Jelani. That's ridiculous. That his family has to
Daniel
suffer like that
Robinson.
and look for him, and they're not even getting the attention.
Daniel Robinson. He was a worker, a black guy, young, that was an anthropologist or something, and he had one hand, and he just came up missing. And I believe that he's a victim of the same thing. Just vanished. His dad is still looking for him.
But again, I say, this little young white girl that her parents hadn't spoke to her, they said they ain't spoke to her in 2 weeks. And they report her missing, and instantly, she's found within 3 days. Why do we not get that same help and exposure and assistance and the resources allowed to us?
It's
I never wanted to make this about race, but if you don't see the racial disparity in this, you blind. And if
a part of the
Jelani's
problem.
life has to bring awareness to this, and I have to be the one because now I have to be Jelani's voice, then so be it. That's what I'll do.
And that is the things that seem to be what they don't want to change ever. They never want to admit to that. They don't want it to change. Is what it appears. You think that we don't? Like, yeah, we do. But the laws don't work the same even with that. Like I was saying with Breonna Taylor. Kenny fired on some people that was coming into their house. They didn't have no idea who the heck they were. Oh, you don't know about Daniel? His name Daniel Robinson. I'll play a video with him because I was like somebody that I knew once upon a time. They were covering that case, and so I am familiar with it. But I never covered it over here. I did used to support the dad and go in on his live streams. He actually has a channel. Help find Daniel or find Daniel Robinson. His dad fought really hard for him, but still nothing. And I really don't even know the story behind it. I mean, I remember hearing something about some chick he was dating and or something.
We're also learning more tonight about another missing in America. An update tonight on the search for Daniel Robinson.
Hold on, I'm about to put these up. Yep, somebody else, doing this thing, trying to make a living and go missing, and nobody looks for him. Nobody. If it wouldn't have been for his dad. Okay, let's get into some details. Hold on. And even though he was missing longer than Jelani, but I think it happened the same year. Hold on, y'all. Dang, I probably, oh, wait. They ain't do a damn thing. They ain't did nothing at all. And they full of crap. Hold on. Here we go.
Investigating, searching, putting out information to trying to keep my son's case from going cold.
David Robinson, the
disappearance of a Valley man has confounded investigators. What happened to 24-year-old Daniel Robinson? His truck found crashed in the desert, but no sign of the man.
Yeah, we've covered this story extensively. Today, Buckeye Police releasing detailed information from a number of people who last spoke with the geologist. And Fox 10's Lindsay Regis is live with more. Lindsay.
Guys, we are learning what his last text messages were and who his last interactions were with. People who last spoke to him say he was acting odd.
It's been a hard road, investigating, searching, putting out information to trying to keep my son's case from going cold.
David Robinson II has spent the last 2 years searching for his son, Daniel Robinson. David talked to his son regularly.
We have plans to have futures that weekend before we went missing with his sister to go hiking out there in Arizona. We have plans in July too that I will come out to see his vehicle for the first time. So we have plans.
Daniel was 24 years old when he was last seen leaving his job site near Sun Valley Parkway and Cactus Road on June 23, 2021. His crashed Jeep was found a month later a few miles from the job site. A coworker, the last person to see Daniel, says he was acting odd, staring at nothing in particular, and that Daniel had asked him if he wanted to go back to Phoenix, then waved goodbye and left. According to Phoenix records, David told investigators his son met a woman and that he was in love with her. His sister told police the same thing. Detectives spoke to that woman who says she was not in a relationship with Daniel. The woman says she met Daniel 11 days earlier when he delivered food to her and a friend. The women were drunk and invited him in. Daniel texted the woman over the next several days. The woman says Daniel started acting creepy and showed up unannounced. In text, the woman asked Daniel to stop coming over unannounced. Daniel texted the woman, "I love you," and asked if she was home. That's when she tells him showing up unannounced is extremely uncomfortable. His last text to her was, quote, "The world can get better, but I'll have to take all that I can, or we can, whatever to name it. I'll either see you again or never see you again." Leading search efforts for Daniel has been tiresome, but David says he will never stop until his son is found.
I'm always going to believe that my son is alive and well. I'm going to find him. It's only a matter of time.
And we have the 128-page report on our website. Daniel's father is also organizing a virtual candlelight vigil on June 23rd. We have a link to it on our website, fox10phoenix.com. Lindsay Regis, Fox 10 News.
A lot of people have followed for several years now. This is really a disappearance that's left so many people confused. If Daniel Robinson died in the desert after his car crashed, how has he not been found? Or did somebody pick him up after the crash? And if so, where was he taken? Daniel's father says he has to keep his son's case in the spotlight until this is solved.
The Buckeye, Arizona desert is vast and desolate, and for 3 years now, it's been home to the mystery of what happened to 24-year-old Daniel Robinson.
It's really emotional time for us as a family. I do have moments where I wonder if my son is not here anymore, and I still got to bring him home.
David Robinson is Daniel's dad, fighting for answers in his son's disappearance ever since June 23rd, 2021. Daniel is a geologist, last seen just after 9 a.m., leaving his work site at a well in Buckeye. 3 weeks later, his Jeep Renegade was found crashed in a ravine less than 3 miles from his work site. Data showing more than 40 ignitions.
So it was the same year and like 2 months before Jelani went missing. Because it was August, same year. This is crazy, man. And they, like I said, they're actually the ones that's doing great. That's really that could make some generational wealth for the family, and these are the ones that are lost. Now this situation with the female and all that weird stuff, I really like. That's crazy, man. I don't know whatever came of that.
Cycles were recorded by the car after the crash. Daniel's belongings and clothes were found at the crash site too.
I believe some type of foul play happened in that scene, in the area out there in the desert. I just don't know exactly what that means or what it is.
But the Buckeye Police Department cannot confirm any foul play is involved, yet is actively investigating his disappearance. Daniel's father helped coordinate many searches in the area and says there are things they've found that just don't add up.
Say things that we found on the scene, a sock near the well site that matches a sock that was found on the crash site.
He also says Daniel's sister, who lives here in the valley and was often with Daniel, didn't recognize the clothing found with the crashed Jeep.
We wanted to get one of those clothing items to be tested to say it indeed Aunt Daniel's clothes.
Did not recognize the clothing. Same thing we just said with Jelani. And before I end this, I'm going to show y'all the picture of Javion to prove that he didn't have on the same clothes.
to rule it out if it's someone else's clothes being staged there.
He says all airbags deployed in the Jeep as well, begging the question of if there was somebody in the passenger seat when it happened, and if so, who that was. The Tempe Police Department helped out Buckeye Police with the investigation because Daniel lived in Tempe and analyzed personal computers, a work computer, and his iPad, but nothing led to the geologist's whereabouts. David says the reality is Daniel could be anywhere, so keeping his name and picture in the media is something he's committed to doing until he finds his son.
And that's why I'm really putting all the efforts I can and keeping Daniel's case from hitting a cold case status. And there's a lot of leads to follow. I have to believe he's alive. That keeps me going.
This Sunday, David is holding a virtual event on his social media pages dedicated to Daniel's disappearance. That will be held at noon. It's called Bring America Home, to not only raise awareness for Daniel's case, but other families with missing loved ones as well. They'll also be at that event virtually to talk about it. Of course, if you have any information on the disappearance of Daniel Robinson, please call the Buckeye Police Department, guys.
Yeah, it's been 3 years and a lot of searches. I mean, they talked about things that don't make sense, but has there been anything noteworthy that can help?
So twice, at least twice, there was an odd occurrence because human remains were found 2 different times during the search for Daniel Robinson. And those remains were tested for DNA. They didn't match Daniel's. But that's the thing about this area. Unfortunately, it is a place where human remains are either dumped or found. And so you can find them out there. But it is vast because you think they've done all these searches by sky, by ground. How could they not find him if he was out there? There are just so many vast parts of the desert that even in a contained area where the work site was, you may just not get to everything. But it is really bizarre. Yeah. You just don't know what happened. And that's hard.
It's heartbreaking. You feel for Daniel's dad because he's out there advocating both for his son and for the families of other missing children as well.
Yeah, he's dedicated his time and his life to that too. He's been at CrimeCon. He's worked with other families of missing loved ones. He's worked with Gabby Patino's family at one point. So he's gotten out there and he is somebody who said, look, I've worked hard to keep my son's case in the media. That hasn't been easy, but that's how you get attention and that's how you spread it. You see his picture and his name. He could be anywhere.
Yeah, he's doing the right thing. You can tell he's staying diligent. I got to get back to those human remains real quick. I'm assuming that they are old. They don't line up with the timeline here.
Yeah, there were other cases, and the DNA from the remains did not match Daniel. So that's how they were able to definitively rule this out.
So they didn't find him, but they found other people and gave closure to other.
We're also learning more tonight about another missing in America case that we brought you last week. 24-year-old geologist Daniel Robinson.
So I said, let me look at his dad page because I used to follow him a little bit. I was checking in on him. And he's still posting 3 days ago, warrior for the missing, 600K missing in America. So now he's, I seen where he has started like having other families of missing people coming on. And 2 weeks ago, find Daniel Davis corner. Let me see. He got this exact picture as soon as I hit play. So I'm gonna drop his link if anybody wants to follow this case or find out where he is with the case. I'm gonna drop it in a chat for anybody that wants to do that. I'll drop it at the end or put it in at the end if I don't forget. But the lines are open if y'all want to call in. And I got, let me see, was it another video I wanted to play? I think pretty much, that's what I wanted y'all to see for today. Usually I don't like cover a whole bunch of things at once. I like to concentrate on one at a time. But I wanted to show y'all all of these things because this is why we still here. This is why we still here with the BS today, because they make laws and then they dance around them. They go around the laws and and then the law never gets used and it's just a game. It feels like a game to me that nobody really wants to give up. They like it just the way that it is. That's why it keep happening. But what I was saying is that ain't nothing gonna change until the laws change. It's just not. So we can scream, yell, shout, and all that, but the laws need to change. And even when that, it still seems like it's BS, but that's our best bet. That's our best route to go. If the truck was flipped and he was in it, could blood or trace of him walking away, could be that he was not in the vehicle at all. That's what I believe. I believe that whatever happened to him, he probably was taken away from that area. They did other things to try to stage something, but it was never no signs of him. I mean, and I don't know the case like I know others to know like how long was it before his dad found out, how long before he got there, and really how long was it. One thing I can tell you, the dad caught them in lies and stuff though. They wasn't investigating. They didn't do certain things. So it then I remember it being said that it was somebody out there shooting rounds and he had approached them and asked them not to fire out there, and something about they was from the FBI or something. I don't know. It was just a lot of different things being said. And that whole female thing, that female exchange, saying that he came by without being invited, and it's always weird when a female is involved too. So I don't know. It could have been something stemming from that. Who was she? I mean, I've never laid eyes on her or know who the female was. So no DNA was on the truck. I'm not sure, but I would definitely say follow the dad and just find out all of the different things that he found out or didn't find out. But his son was never found. No remains found. Where could he be? You know, it just sound like one of those good old boys things that they don't care to investigate. Souvenirs and all that. How the law's gonna change if blacks still vote for their oppressors. Voting and laws changing is two different things, right? Vote certain people out and all of that. Like, I mean, everybody is our damn oppressor. Really? I mean, so I guess we ain't gonna vote for nobody. Vote for the devil or Lucifer. Which one? Is they the same person or no? I don't know. But yeah, it's crazy. It's not good. It's either way we screwed. You know what I'm saying? Either way we get treated like crap. So I mean this is what they showing us, right? Like this, and it's disgusting. Really, it's really bad. I've never heard the female story. Yeah, they mentioned it. They mentioned it in a video that I played. But I don't know how much his dad looked into that, or if he had a conversation with her, or you know what he gauged from that. It's hard, like when his dad didn't live there. It's hard when you're not from there. But I did hear them say that he had a sister that would hang out with him or whatever that lived in the area. Well, I guess y'all don't want to call in. I guess whoever the person said I can't do her must have been talking about me, because I don't think they said nothing else since. But hey, if you can't do me, just go. You ain't even got to type it. No one's holding you hostage here. It's a lot of people that can't and won't do me because I won't let them. But anyway, y'all, I got a live stream set up for tomorrow. We're gonna be talking about the females. Now, it's a couple cases. It's a couple cases that I've been covering. Sade Robinson, as well as that Shantae Dixon. I want to talk about her. She was a dancer who was unalived by a freaking Uber driver. So I want to check in on that. That happened like recently. And then Sade Robinson. And there's another guy. His name is Tim Haslick. Have y'all ever heard of him? I don't know if y'all ever heard of, like, in Milwaukee, there used to be a lot of females, black females, coming up missing and unalived. Nobody knew where these women were. This guy named Tim Haslick was a white guy that was going and snatching black women and I think they were like druggies or street walkers, maybe, and people that he thought nobody would care about. He was taking them and locking them in his basement and doing away with them, whatever he wanted to do with them. Chained up. Y'all heard about that? So I'm gonna be talking about that tomorrow. So it's crazy. We gotta know every way that the attack is happening, and then of course, like any other race, you're gonna have confusion with people that you around. I mean, people feud and fight with people that they live around and that they are around. I don't believe in a black on black crime, because then we got to say everybody on everybody crime, because that's what it is. But wait, this thing got held. Yeah, because you said that word prosty. They don't allow that word. So yeah, if you want your comments to show up, you cannot cuss. You gotta misspell cuss words, and there's certain trigger words on YouTube too. Right? He's saying he in love telling his sister, but when the girl was confronted, she denied it. Yeah, she needs to be fact checked for real, for real. Yeah, I don't know who this person was. We lack lawmakers in the American Constitution. Michelle, I sell them to the highest bidder on the black web. They are not the same person. I've never heard the female story given their history. I keep suitors. Yeah, I think I read all that. I'm sure I missed a lot. I'm always miss a lot. The girl had a dog collar on. Yes. The girl had a dog collar on, and she was able to escape and get to a neighbor's house. So we're going to talk about that, see where they at with that case. That dude was super creepy. BFF, make sure the phone on. It is. Ain't nobody called me. That's okay. I have got messages though. What is it? I'm confused. Please, I've gotten messages, but nobody called. Yeah. The unaliving of black folks is going beyond. How is gonna move that fast? Going beyond proportion and immediate action. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that person, Real Lock. I don't know if that's the person that messaged me, because I am getting messages. That what Obey Oakley of Oxford Police. Somebody sent me information on that and some other stuff, but I'll look at it later. Taylor is actually handling that. I'm not about to do that. That's Taylor's thing. So he exposing getting information about certain people. So I'm gonna let him stick to that there. It was a dungeon. Yeah, that guy is disgusting. Like, I mean, how do you hate that? But that's what they did. When you look back in history, what did they do? They RAPE the women and the men. Like, I thought y'all hated us so much. But that's weird. Yeah, he was doing that. Chaining them up and doing whatever he wanted to do with them. And holding them there. And the girl that the one that was able to get away, she said that many of her friends passed away there. Just disgusting. He had a whole son too, like that. I think he had custody of his son or something like that. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get back into the details of that case, but that's what we're gonna be talking about tomorrow. Also, Shanquella Robinson never got justice. It's just sad. I did a short on it, and her mother talked about her autopsy being switched. So we gonna talk about Shanquella Robinson tomorrow too. That's crazy. Was the one putting them in blue barrel? Yes, I think yes. Yep. I do remember the Blue Barrel. Didn't his son live with him? Now, I know that it was like a custody battle and all that, but I think he did. But I don't know if he was there. It was people in and out of his house, though. Like, how could they not smell or know or whatever? Like, I forgot how the girl got out. Something with the dog, I think. But we'll get into it tomorrow, though. Thank y'all so much for hanging out with me. And it's all love for everybody. Just quit trolling, call in, and let us know who you are, type of thing. But I ain't mad at nobody today, you know. And we just want justice. I mean, we want the laws and everything to work the right way for everybody. But it don't seem to be that it'll ever be that way for us. I mean, especially after looking at the Emmett Till thing and how they said that was denied like 200 times. It's something that they don't want, that they want to keep continuing, obviously. You know? Over 200 times rejected. It's sad, man. It's really sad. BFF, what you laughing at? Oh, boy. Hey, my journey. Wait, you changed your name? My journey 44. Wasn't it something else? Wasn't it This Is My Journey? Am I tripping? Welcome in, Journey. I'm going to just call you Journey. Yes. Okay. I'm like, wait a minute now. You changing your name on me. Thank you, Miss V, for all you do. Thank you, Latasha. I appreciate you. Yeah, I knew I wasn't crazy, Journey. My journey 44. Okay. All right, y'all. Y'all have a great rest of the day. I'm going to go ahead and get up out of here. What time is it? Yeah, I definitely got to get up out of here. Thank you for the 56 thumbs up. And it's 50 still in the building. Thank y'all so much. If y'all haven't yet, when this one ends, the one for tomorrow is gonna pop up. Please hit the waiting, hit the waiting, and hit the thumbs up. Even leave a comment so you'll get the notification. Yes, I thought it would be easier to scram things together. Yep, I'm gonna just say Journey. I shorten everybody's name anyway. You be blessed too, Latasha. And y'all have a great rest of the day. I will see y'all tomorrow. Please subscribe and press that notification bell and thumbs up. Please thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. For sharing. For sharing. For sharing me. Thank you for sharing. Thank y'all for tuning in. Shout out to Food Nation. Smack the thumbs up on the way out, y'all. Thanks for dropping them good members emojis, BFF. Let's go. Peace and love, y'all. We out. Peace out, y'all.